Hello, everybody. RMG Darkstrider here, and it's time to cover day 2 and is it day 1 and day 2 of E3?
Day 1 and day 2.
All right. So
Yeah,
I'm being joined by Jalen,
Yo.
Perry,
What's up?
and Lenny.
Hello.
With the YouTube handle, I still can't remember. I'm so sorry, Lenny.
Cricket Zero.
Cricket Zero. Okay. All right. So we got to see Nintendo, Square, and PC conference, right?
That's right.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna do this a little bit differently because I missed all 3 of them, so I have no idea like what most of these games are about. So I'll name off the topics and you guys go ahead and discuss about it, and then we'll all give our thoughts about it. That
Okay.
cool with you?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So first on the list, I see Star Fox Zero. I actually saw the trailer for that one. I'm actually pretty excited. What about you guys?
Oh, yeah. Like, it's Star Fox in its purest form.
Yeah, they actually gave Star Fox back to its creator, Shigeru Miyamoto. I love that man. And it kind of looks like, to me, it looks like Star Fox 64 with like the ideas they had for Star Fox 2.
Yes, because they brought in the Walker.
Yeah, they did. What do you think, Perry?
Honestly, I don't really care much for Star Fox. I've never once played Star Fox in my life.
My heart.
I'm not trying to hurt you in the feels, man. It's just, I don't get me wrong. My N64 was literally the first console I ever had, and of all the major games I had on that system, there were 3 big ones that I never had, and this is gonna probably punch every Nintendo fan's ball sack into it in themselves. If not, they'll grow one and then they'll probably be punched in. I never played Star Fox 64. That's one of them. I never played either the Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time. So I have not played any one of those 3.
Oh man, you got some catching up to do.
You have a 3DS.
Honestly, I don't feel like I do. There's not much. To be perfectly honest, I haven't seen much of Star Fox that has me wanting to play it. It looks like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think it looks like crap. It just looks like, okay, it looks like a somewhat Rayleigh space shooter. I've seen a lot of these before, so I'm not so certain as to why this one sticks out among the rest, outside of the fact that it's a Nintendo first-party title.
Oh.
So,
I'd
will
recommend
admit,
I'd recommend Star Fox Command if you want to get into the series, mainly because it's more like arena stuff as opposed to rail stuff, so that maybe might be more to your liking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
you said it's on the GameCube, right?
No,
Command's DS, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Command's
Command's
the
DS.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know. I don't have anything against Star Fox. It's just I'm more indifferent to it. I'm glad at least that Nintendo is at least paying attention to a first-party franchise that does not have the words Mario, Zelda, or Metroid in the title. So there is that. Although I wish they would pay attention to some of their lesser-known franchises, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, like F-Zero.
Oh yeah, I would love an F-Zero game.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure it would look fantastic on the Wii U, but Star Fox just, I could probably find games that do something similar to Star Fox and find a similar level of enjoyment. I will give it props though for this, since correct me if I'm wrong, but Platinum Games is doing this one, correct?
Yeah, they're co-developing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I love Platinum Games and pretty much everything that they do. So the fact that they're working on this has me slightly more curious than usual. Like, I will usually play almost anything they make. I have not played Wonderful 101 yet, though, but that aside the point, I am curious about this.
All right, Lenny, what do you think?
Well, I was pretty pleased with the trailer because, to be honest, I thought we were just going to get like a short cinematic with little tiny snippets of gameplay, but it was mostly gameplay from what I saw, and that pleased me from that bit. And the thing is, I had only ever played Star Fox Command and seen a little bit of Star Fox Adventures, so seeing it transform into the Walker was something that was completely new to me. Like, I didn't know that was in the series before, so I was sitting there like, what? mind blown gift type thing. But it was that, and just, it looks pretty. It looked like it had a lot of cool stuff, and the controls are something that I think are actually really, really cool. But I think that's kind of like a division between me and other people, some other people I'm talking about for it, because some people are saying oh, using the gamepad to control like where you shoot is going to be a disaster because gyros are awful. And then I'm thinking, well, I think it makes sense because you can actually like aim differently in the direction from where you're flying, so that way when you fly by something, you don't have to ram headfirst into it just to get a good shot. Because that was something that kind of was a thing with like me in previous games, where like it was fun, you know, it was really good, but when I wanted to shoot something, I also had to run the risk of ramming headfirst into it, and if I didn't want to do that, I had to avoid it, and that took a while. But now having like, you know, the screen be third person and the gamepad be first person in terms of like shooting controls and whatnot, I think it'd be really potentially intuitive if it's done right, and just I don't know if innovative is the right word, but if I feel like that hasn't been done too much in the past, so it could be a very fresh take on everything we've seen before.
Yeah, if it works, it'll do fine.
Yeah,
I don't see a problem with that.
Other than that, I mean,
Plus,
like I
there's
said,
also
the graphics look good. And one thing that I heard, at least based on the Nintendo conferences, I thought it was going to be a prequel because it's Star Fox Zero, but apparently it's only called that because like Fox's kanji or whatever is similar to the shape of a zero, so they just called it that. Yeah, so it's literally Star Fox, then the Japanese letter for Fox, but it looks like the number 0, so that's why it's called that.
Star
All right.
Fox.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, Star Fox though.
All right, Jalen. What do you think?
I think it looks great from what we've seen so far. I'm glad they incorporated some Star Fox 2 stuff. As long as the story moves forward, because I'm tired of redoing this first game, and then like the first game again, and then more Andross.
But we need to know what happened to James McCloud, Jalen.
It's just Fox with sunglasses, you guys.
I know. Like that is literally Fox's dad's model. It is just Fox with sunglasses.
You want to know more about the story, Jalen? I can't let you do that, Jalen. You gotta play the first game.
Okay. So the reason I'm hyped for Star Fox Zero is because from what we've seen so far, it looks like a return to form for the series. You know, like it doesn't have all that like ground. It doesn't look like it has like stuff from like the Star Fox Adventures or like Star Fox Assault stuff, which it kind of rubbed fans the wrong way, especially Star Fox Adventures.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's good that we actually they actually incorporated stuff from Star Fox 2 because Star Fox 2 was never released, you know. So I'm glad those ideas actually got to see the light of day.
Well, no wonder I never played that one. It never got released.
Yeah, it was canned to work on Star Fox 64 because it was being made like really late in the Super Nintendo's life cycle.
So classic Nintendo strategy. When in doubt, use something from the past.
Yeah.
And then just remake it and give it a fresh coat of paint.
Yep, pretty much. All right, so we good on Star Fox?
Yep.
Yeah, I think we are.
All right, let's move on to our next topic then. Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yes.
Barry, I'll let you go first.
I am very excited about this one because I remember. Okay, did any of you guys like follow Operation Rainfall when it was like in its hype form for Xenoblade Last Story and Pandora's Tower?
No.
Like, did any of you guys keep track of that at all?
No, I didn't. What about you,
Okay,
Lenny?
Dylan.
Oh no, I didn't follow it. I didn't find out that they were going to be released until like way later.
Okay, I mean that's fine. I found out about it like way before the release schedule, and I had never heard of either of these games. And now that when I heard about it, I was like, you know what? This actually kind of is strange. The fact that most of these really niche JRPGs are not coming over here to the States. And at that point, I felt like, yeah, we haven't had that many over here, and I feel like on some level that this tumbling of JRPGs kind of started when Xenoblade came out. And I picked that up from GameStop. Like, it was, like, literally the day it came out. And I remember seeing the trailer for it, and I was like, holy crap, this looks awesome. And I figured that, I mean, I haven't beaten Xenoblade. I'll just say that now. And I'm actually going through it with the intention of beating it now. And I love it. It looks really beautiful. Especially for a Wii game, especially one made that late, it looks really good.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they're now making a sequel to that, and it looks in HD, it looks fantastic. So I'm really excited for Xenoblade to see where the heck this world goes from the ending of the first one. and apparently it's like Xenoblade Chronicles is regarded like on the Wii is regarded as one of the best JRPGs of the last console generation. So
This is true.
that for being on the Wii has got to be saying something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm very curious to see what Monolith Soft has rolling up their sleeves for Xenoblade.
Barry, would it be an exaggeration to say that you're really feeling it?
Barry, is it Shulk time?
Wait, what?
Smash memes, man. Smash memes.
Oh,
Shulk's
I guess you
time.
could say. I guess you could say my body is ready.
All right.
man.
So,
Come on, I
are,
had to use that at least once.
are you gonna be showing the Monato's power?
Oh, I will be showing more than the Minato's power.
All right, Lenny, thoughts?
I haven't played. My extent in terms of Xenoblade is extremely limited in that I saw it on shelves a couple of times, and I thought, wow, that's pretty. Now to go to the console I own. And so I didn't really know anything about it until, like, the
You
new
have
Smash
a
Bros.
Wii U,
like-
right?
Well, yeah, I have a Wii U. I just mean it was a matter of when I first started seeing it, I didn't have a Wii at the time. And so what it was is I just kind of ignored it. And eventually I heard about, Shulk. I'm like, who's Shulk? I'm like, he's from Xenoblade. I looked into it a little bit, and I saw the trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles X, like, last E3. I'm like, oh, wow, this looks, like, amazing. And so I am excited for it, and I would like to play the previous games of the series, but I know nothing about it, so I don't know what to expect. It looks pretty, and it's well regarded, so I'll go for it.
All right, Jalen, anything you want to add?
Well, my experience with the Xeno series extends all the way back to Xenogears on the PlayStation. I've dabbled in the Xenosaga games, and I didn't have a
Oh,
Wii
so we
when
got an OG
Xenoblade.
in here.
Yeah, I didn't have a Wii when Xenoblade Chronicles came out, so I didn't really look into it. And it wasn't until after Smash Brothers that I really was like, okay, let's check it out. I mean, Adolfo, you were with us when we saw it in stores.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, it's there. And you guys were like, but it's the best game ever, Adolfo. And I was like, it's on the Wii. But yeah, from what I've seen, the game looks really good and it has like a lot of praise surrounding it. But I personally have never played it. But I am interested in playing it, so I might hunt down a copy and play it.
Mm-hmm.
Better hurry up.
Well,
Dude. They're getting quite hard to find now.
Yeah, well, that's GameStop's fault, honestly, because they made their release GameStop exclusive.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Well, you could always get a new 3DS.
That is true. It is on the 3DS.
Jalen, you know how I feel about the 3DS.
But it's new 3DS.
I don't care if it's newer 3DS, which is bound to come out. It has three analogs. It has three analog sticks, and you can actually click them down. Oh man! But is that all we have on Xenoblade Chronicles X?
Pretty much.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. That yeah, there we go. All right, guys, thoughts?
That
Do not
exists.
care.
Yeah.
It exists.
Okay, since we don't have much to go by, let's talk about Amiibos. Does anybody here actually like them?
They're cool to look at.
I only own two. I only own two Amiibos, and those are Marth and Ike. That's it. The only other ones I want are Shulk, Lucina, and Robin. That is it. I just want the Fire Emblem ones and Shulk. I don't give a crap about any of the others.
What about Woolly Yoshi?
I do not care about that either.
He's a plushie, not a figure.
If I want an actual Yoshi plushie, I will go out and get a Yoshi plushie. I could probably go over to the movie trading company right now and get a bigger Yoshi plushie for about maybe, I don't know, about the same price, and it would be bigger.
All right, Lenny, you were trying to say something. What was it?
Okay, is it just me, or is this like the concept of like amiibos and these NFC figures seem like the most obtuse way to handle DLC ever?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's
yeah,
like, because I mean, okay, it's like this. As far as I know, these figures contain very little data on their own, like extreme. So it's not like you're actually downloading anything into the game. It means that all of the content that these things unlock or have is actually in the game, and you just need a few kilobytes from these dolls to actually unlock it. So it's a similar thing to like previous situations where it's on disc DLC, but they're also making you buy toys for it too.
Yeah.
And
It's like
I said,
Capcom, but with figures.
it's like the toys look pretty.
Yeah.
Like I had like my friend Jeremiah has bought one for Bowser and one for Peach, and like I said, like as far as like considering the price that they are, you know, like $15 to $20, they are relatively well made as far as I know. Considering I know jack shit about figurines, and with that in mind, it's like, if they was just that, and it was like if they had them and they just sold them as their separate thing and they offered bonuses to some games, that's fine. But since their sole intention is to unlock content that is already in your game, like as in, hey, look at this game we designed with all this stuff in it. Now let's take out like maybe a quarter of it and make it so you gotta have like a bunch of dolls lying around the house just to make sure that you can do it. And it kind of goes. It's just an inefficient way to store things. Because if these were like small little discs or small little squares or something like that, you could stack them. You could put them in like a little like cupboard or something. But these are all extremely differently geometrically shaped dolls, and there's no way to efficiently do this unless you dedicate an actual shelf to them if you want a decent amount of them. Like I know it's an exaggeration to say that these are actually going to be like an issue of space because I mean, you know, they're tiny as hell. But
Yeah.
if they
Coming
want
from
you,
someone, go ahead.
if they want you to be as dedicated to them as they expect, you know, because they make these things expecting everyone to buy one or to buy a bunch of them, then they would also expect you to have a ton of room for these things. And I think unless you decide to keep them all in their cases, they're just not an efficient way to handle this sort of stuff. And I don't know. I think basing an entire game around amiibos is so okay. So you got to buy the game, and then you have to buy these things to play the game.
Well, that's just Disney Infinity
And Skylanders.
and Skylanders,
Sky-
right?
So
And Lego
I guess it's
Dimensions.
a matter of. So
Yeah.
you're paying money so that you have the ability to pay more money to play a Mario Party clone featuring Animal Crossing people.
Capitalism.
Gots to have money.
Capitalism at its finest.
It's like, okay, and I'm all for the whole idea of if you do something I like, you know, the whole like shut up and give, you know, take my money thing. But it's to the benefit of people to not make it so glaringly obvious.
Yeah. So what you're saying is basically they're glorified keys.
Yes, they are glorified, like kilobyte-sized keys, and technically it's better than Capcom because at least I still have a figure afterwards instead of just shame. So
Hell, you could probably buy an official licensed Capcom figure like from, I don't know, something like Devil May Cry related. It would look a hell of a lot better than the Amiibos.
Actually, they have an official Capcom amiibo coming. The Ryu amiibo.
Oh. Well, what do you
Oh,
know?
that's
They've
Hell,
collided.
I've seen Street Fighter figures that look 500 times better than some of the Amiibos do.
Oh yeah, it's because they're actually made by like an actual like figure company, you know, not
Yeah, I know.
not by like rejected Nintendo artists. So
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up my though. I am not interested at all in Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, just because it looks like a cash grab. It seems like a cash grab. I'm not even that interested in Animal Crossing or Amiibos to begin with, so it's like a combination of things I'm not interested in, and then mix it all into a pot of glaringly obvious capitalism, and yeah. So I'll say nope out of 10.
yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and say like Animal Crossing is a time waster game. Like you have to wait real time hours in order to do stuff in there. So now it's saying you can waste your time with toys now. So
Like Farmville with toys.
yeah, so I'm gonna also nope out of this one.
Yeah, Animal Crossing's never been my bread and butter.
I give it a don't give a shit out of 10.
All right, and with all that negativity out there, let's go ahead and move on to the next few games, which are all Mario themed, by the way, because Nintendo thinks we need a Mario game every 5 seconds or we won't be able to breathe.
What about Yoshi?
Yoshi as well, who is in the Mario universe, so he counts as a Mario character. So moving on, Yoshi's Woolly World,
Epic
I
Yarn
can
Part
dig
2.
pretty much.
Honestly, I don't mind the whole yarn aesthetic. I think it at least makes it look a little bit distinct, but at the same time, I don't know what to say for this one. It's just like, it looks like a Yoshi game. I mean, the one Yoshi game I actually own is Yoshi's Story on the N64.
Mm-hmm.
And I will admit, I had fun with that one, but I don't know if I could go for another Yoshi. I don't know if I could do another Yoshi game because when I think of Yoshi, I just don't see a lot that you could do with him. Like, there's a lot of, like, cool stuff that you could shoot at his eggs when he injects them and stuff, but at the same time, it's just one where I go, you look like you're just trying to do what Yoshi can do, but you do the same thing with Kirby. And now you're literally taking the aesthetic of Kirby's having yarn and applying it to Yoshi.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when they announced it that somebody went like, you could try to improve on the mechanics of Yoshi's Island. And they were like, who said that? And the room got quiet.
Apparently that guy was taken out back and shot at by firing squad.
Lenny.
It's like that one, or it's like that one guy in the meme. It says, "All right, we got this one plan of how do we do this," and everyone throws out these other two ridiculous solutions, and then there's this one guy of common sense, and everyone just looks at him and goes, and just stares at him blankly, and then tosses him out the window.
I remember that. All right, Lenny, thoughts?
I think it looks cute. I mean, there's not much else I can say because I haven't really looked much into it gameplay-wise, but as far as I'm concerned, it's just like, hey, look, it's a Yoshi game. It reminds me a lot of, what was it? It reminds me a lot of, like, Little Big Planet in that, like, when I first got that game, it was, because it was a while ago, I was like, I don't know, 12, 13, just some young, ignorant age. And I'm like, oh, this game looks like it's made for 3-year-olds. We're never going to have any fun ever. Where's Shadow the Hedgehog when you need him?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, quite
You
the
were
time.
in that phase.
Yeah, I was in that phase of my life. So then we played it, and then we're like, oh, wait, no, this is actually the best thing ever. And so we dug it. And I started realizing, oh, yeah, just because something isn't the color black or brown or gray or blood doesn't mean it can't have fun.
It doesn't.
It was pretty and colorful. And that's the same
Blood's
thing with
not a
Yoshi's
color.
Woolly- It's the same thing with Yoshi's Woolly World. It looks like a lot of cutesy, fun stuff. I can dig the art style a lot. Same thing with, like, Kirby's Epic Yarn. That's why I really want to play that game. I mean, I'm not above it.
Rainbow Curse, or the fact that that's a claymation style.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
too. I mean, just all of these things have, their own unique style to them, and it's. I don't know much more I can say about it. Until I see more gameplay, there's nothing I can comment on besides the fact that it just looks really good. It's supposed to be yarn. It looks like yarn. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yarn out of 10. Would you go to the craft store again?
All right. What I have to say, I have a lot of history with Mario games, especially the two Yoshi games, which is Yoshi's Island and Yoshi's Story. Yoshi's Island was kidsy as fuck. Like it looked like that game was meant to be played by 5-year-olds. I felt like I was like 10 seconds away from switching on Teletubbies while I'm trying to eat cereal and play the game.
And then you had to deal with a freaking screaming baby the whole time.
It just clapped my hands, It's just. But yeah, it looks alright. I mean, it just kind of looks like more Yoshi's Story, but with wool, which I'm fine with, So I'd play it. At least give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any more thoughts on this?
I'm fine.
Nope.
All right, so let's move on to Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. What the hell is this?
It is
a
a
mashup
crossover.
between like Mario and Luigi, like I don't know, Superstar Saga or Dream Team or like whatever, like the ones where they're both like playable together. and then also a mix of like Paper Mario.
So the Mario RPG, basically.
Yeah, so basically all of the relative Mario RPGs of the past, but they're both like mixed up in the universe. So it's similar to like the one where Mario and Luigi teamed up with like their baby selves, except for now they're teamed up with like their paper selves.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
Paradox.
So
And-
they just can't make Paper Mario an RPG again. They have to put Paper Mario characters in an RPG. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who the primary ones are. Like, I don't know if it's Paper Mario being invaded by the 3D ones or the 3D ones being invaded by the other ones, but it just looks it looks really cool. It looks like they have a lot of potential creativity for it. So, you know,
Yeah.
who knows?
You know Mario's full of himself when he's got a literal giant Met version of himself. Then again, this is coming from the same guy who literally has a spaceship going through Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 that's literally shaped like his face. Oh wait, no, that was
Yep.
just in 2. Never mind.
Yeah, it's just
Man.
Yeah.
Still, he has a ship that's shaped like his face.
Hey, they made it for him.
That's true.
He didn't ask for it.
You don't know that.
Well, that's true, considering he never really says anything.
You know he only knows 3 words. That's let's go.
And
What?
I can't
What about-
I can't do the voice.
All right.
But no, it does. But Lenny is. I would agree with Lenny. It does have a lot of potential creativity, but it's one of those. I would say it's. Let's wait and see what happens with it and see how it works out before we actually like go. Okay, this might be worth our time.
All right.
I mean, if it goes by the formula, it'll be fine.
yeah, Mario.
I actually played like a Superstar Saga on the Game Boy Advance a while ago, and then I also played what was it? A little bit of Thousand Year Door, and then I also played what was it? Super Paper Mario. So I played at least one in each of the series to at least know that I really liked both of them, and.
Okay.
And so if they have elements from both of them that are like the best of each of them, then I think it has potential to. If they do it right, it could be the best mobile Mario RPG that we've seen yet. If they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Mario and Luigi series is like traditionally fun. Like Superstar Saga is honestly one of the funnest games I've ever played.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anything else on that?
I'm fine. I'm excited for it, even though I don't have a 3DS. I'm actually excited for it.
Would you buy a 3DS for it?
No,
I thought so.
I was gonna buy a 3DS for Majora's Mask on 3DS, but that just kind of fell through. So.
Yeah, the funny thing about that, like the guys were like, they were like, man, you should. Now would be the perfect time for you to buy a 3DS. Like Majora's Mask is coming out and everything. And I was like, but I have Majora's Mask on the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube. Why? Why would I want a 3DS? And they're like, but you know, the argument is better graphics. But you know, does it really matter?
On one hand, that's true, but I
Sometimes.
hear there's a lot of other relatively minor changes to gameplay and whatnot that also help it out.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. There hasn't been that game to make me like go, oh, I need this. But moving on, Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. All right, Perry, I'll let you go first on that one.
Well, I have played the previous Mario Tennis games, and they're one of the few games that my sister and I would ever play together, which is rare enough as it is. And she would always hate it when I won because she always thought I was cheating. But no, I'm kind of like, okay, it's Mario Tennis, it's another Mario sports game. I'm kind of indifferent to this one because I kind of know what to expect at the same time. But the fact that it exists, I'm not mad, I'm just indifferent.
Okay, one question: was Rosalina anywhere in the trailer?
No,
I don't know.
Watch your people.
I wasn't paying that close attention to the trailer. I think there was I think the trailer for it was actually like really short, so I didn't get a chance to pay really close attention. But if Rosalina is in there, I was like, okay, I wouldn't mind that. I personally prefer Rosalina over Peach or Daisy any day.
Yeah,
But that's just me.
But there's a thing like Rosalina's and everything now, and like Nintendo fanboys are like, "Hey, it's getting old," you know.
Oh yeah, and like Princess Peach isn't getting old.
I mean, like she.
But she's like the patron
I prefer
mother of
Rosalina
Nintendo.
over Peach. so I don't mind really.
Yeah. No. Does anybody have anything else to say about Mario Tennis? Lenny?
No, I don't really have much to say about it. I mean, it looked like Mario Tennis with like a few more tweaks added to it that could make it more fun, and Mario Tennis in HD. So just fun. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the game. I just think it's a matter of like, hey, if you like tennis or Mario Tennis and you want to have some friends over, go for it. Personally, I'm more of a fan of Mario Kart or even Mario Golf. I'm more of a fan of, but it's fine as is. I'm not against it. Tennis ain't really my thing in regards to this, at least. So,
All right, you guys ready to move on?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So, Super Mario Maker.
Yes.
That's a game right there.
It certainly is a thing. Go ahead, Lenny.
I just think it looks really cool. I think I don't know how in depth it's going to be in comparison, but when you guys have definitely seen like all the various like ROM hacks and like ultra hard Mario level things that people have made.
Yeah.
I know that you guys have potentially seen like some of the devastatingly hard stuff that has come out of like people just making their own Mario levels.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I'm
they're
just curious as to
merciless.
what kind of sadism will be possible on the Mario Maker engine, so to speak. So
Imagine the sadomasochistic tendencies of those who played the Soul series and Blood series, basically exuded on Mario.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh boy. That just opens up a whole world of possibilities. So
And
basically, for those of you guys who don't know, Mario Maker is a game where you make Mario levels. How does the creator look like? Have they shown any of it off? Like,
I think
yeah,
they
they showed
debuted it at the
Yeah.
Nintendo World Championships right before E3 started.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually really interesting to see how it all worked. They like combined different elements and aesthetics of different Mario games. I think you saw there was one level based on the first Mario, then Super Mario 3, and then Mario World, and they combined little elements of all those three worlds into one, and it was actually kind of fun. And to be perfectly honest, some of the moves they made you do was like, how in the world did you get away with this and not come off as a sadistic bastard?
Man.
So at least it looked like creatively and level design wise, it looked impressive. But I will admit, I'm not the type of person that would go in and make a ton of levels like that. So I personally am not that hyped for this one. It might be fun if you're trying to like, say if you had a kid that say wanted to learn to make video games and stuff like that, and they didn't have many tools on their hands. I would say this is at least a good introductory tool to how game design a little bit works.
Now, question for you, Perry. When
Yeah.
you consider that like one aspect of this game is sharing a lot of the levels with other people and also playing the levels that other people have made, would the idea of a potentially infinite number of Mario levels to play at your disposal be of interest to you?
I guess that idea alone could sound potentially interesting,
Because
but
that's like I mean, sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but that's like one of the appeals of what I mentioned earlier, Little Big Planet, is the custom creator stuff in that game is just absolutely immense at this point.
oh, I know. I'm not disregarding that at all. It's just
Yeah.
when it comes to Mario Maker, like Mario in itself is as a franchise has kind of fallen on the a little bit in the shadows for me because I'm not that interested in it at this point. I like the last major Mario game that I played and really, really enjoyed were the Galaxy games. And so I would at least like to see a more, I don't want to diss anyone's ability, but professionally made Mario game, like Galaxy 3 or something bigger than that or something like that. Just something where Miyamoto basically rolls up his sleeves, does something about it, and says, okay, let me show you how the master does this. So I will give it credit, and I was like, okay, if you can actually make a decent Mario level, that's impressive. So if you make the point that yes, a potentially infinite number of Mario levels for people to play and share across the Wii nets or whatever, yeah, I mean I can understand that being potentially interesting. Is it my personal cup of tea? Maybe, maybe not. It's one where I would have to kind of look at it more and see, okay, considering all the games that I have and I want to play, Super Mario Maker is not exactly near the top of my priority list.
That's understandable.
Plus I've already got another potentially infinite game in that No Man's Sky that I would rather sink my teeth into.
Okay, admittedly, between the two, I'd rather play No Man's Sky.
It's because it's in space, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not really. It's just because there's a lot of shit in it, and I just want to I want to know how truly infinite this thing is.
I want to be 50 years old.
You kind of get this. With Mario, you kind of get the same idea for most of its series, most of them, not all of them. So, I'm not gonna lie. I like the fact that you can basically take elements from different Mario games but basically just make one giant clusterfuck of a level. And you could make the most masochistic level in the world, and some of the stuff they had were really creative. But, like I said, is it my cup of tea? Maybe, maybe not. So.
All right. Any final thoughts on Mario Maker before we move on?
It's cool that you can go from like 8-bit Mario to New Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, doesn't it? I think it also includes like Mario's like 2, 3, or in Super Mario World is another one that includes. So like you can change between that and like Mario 3, Mario 1, and then like you said, the new one. So I think that's pretty cool.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on then.
That's good.
Huh?
I have no other comments. I'm excited for it. You know, like impossible levels are something I think are going to be an interesting thing to see, like people create and put up on YouTube, kind of like back in the heyday of the ROM hacks of it. But I'm happy for it.
Yeah, it should
I just
be.
want people to make Super Mario Desperation.
Oh yeah.
It should be interesting to see. But all right, moving on. We got Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes. What is that, Jalen?
I'll explain it. 4 swords minus 1.
Oh.
So there's 3 people.
3 people.
No wonder it's called Triforce.
Yeah. And this game's big gimmick is fashion.
Hold on.
Wait, what?
What?
Yeah, this game's big gimmick is fashion. You have different clothes and they do different things, like a bomb outfit, a Zelda outfit, a boomerang outfit, stuff like that.
Interesting.
A wild cosplay Link appears.
So the same thing that they did in Final Fantasy X2.
It's pretty much, yeah.
And cosplay Pikachu.
Probably.
Okay.
I mean, the most interesting out of all those suits that they showed off, though, was the lucky one, where you can get a free chance when you take a hit and actually not take damage from it.
That's interesting, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta admit, it sounds a little weird, but
Yeah.
I could see some potential there for some cool stuff.
Weird is good.
This is true. You know, the rest of the gameplay is all about cooperation and stuff. There's like this totem pole mechanic where you stack all the 3 players on top of each other, and I've seen they showed off like some bosses that utilize it, where like you have to. It's too tall for one person, so 3 people have to stack up, and then you throw a bomb on it to its weak point, which is an eye.
Of course, it's Zelda. There's always an eye that needs hitting. All right, Lenny, any thoughts?
I thought it looks neat. Nothing I'd say that really blew me away. Like, okay, this is gonna sound bad, but any game that like has like these cooperative elements, something that I think is good, because it's like, hey, you got a game that has co-op in it, and if you have something that's actually there for the gameplay and relevant for it, instead of just, hey, other people are here also, then it's a sign of potentially good game design if it's executed well. So that's something that I think can be good, or like, you know, looked upon as potentially good for future stuff. But other than that, I don't see a ton of things for me to personally get excited about it. The first thing that came to mind, and this is why I meant in terms of like a bad thing for me at least, is instead of thinking about how fun the game could be, one of my thoughts was, I wonder how I could recreate that game in Little Big Planet 3.
Well then.
And it's not necessarily a good thought. I mean, it's mostly my fault just because I was thinking, because Sony fanboy here, but I don't know. Not much else I can really say on the game. It didn't intrigue me enough for me to want to go out and get it, but I have no idea.
All right, Perry,
Yeah.
your thoughts?
Well, since I already admitted that I never played Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time, I have actually never played a Zelda game all the way through. I have Twilight Princess on my shelf. I have Twilight Princess literally on my shelf, like 2 feet from my face.
I love that game so
So-
much.
So I have that on the GameCube version because I can't do motion controllers to save my life. So I'm not opposed to trying Zelda. It's just one where I've always had a weird history of dodging Zelda unintentionally. So I don't know, like Twilight Heroes. It's Twilight Heroes, right? But
Twilight
Triforce
Princess.
Heroes.
Triforce Heroes,
Sorry,
yeah.
Triforce Heroes. I mean, like you said, Jalen, it looks like Four Swords Adventures -1. So I'm not. For Zelda fans, sure, I'm sure they're excited, but for me, I'm not invested in Zelda enough to really care if that makes any sense. That's only just due to the fact that I've never been able to fully complete a Zelda game all the way through. I've dabbled a little bit in Ocarina of Time. I've dabbled a little bit in Twilight Princess, but they didn't grab my attention enough within the first few hours I tried them to really say like, oh, I understand why this was made, and I understand why people love it so much. So, who knows? Maybe I just got off on the wrong foot, but it's not one where I feel the really big urge to try it all of a sudden. Like, I have other games I need to get through first.
All right. All right. Any more thoughts on this before we move on?
I'm good.
No.
All right. So let's move on to Hyrule Warriors Legends. So, sequel, prequel, or glorified DLC?
No,
As
this is
far
like.
as I know, it's literally just a port,
Yeah.
but
So glorified port.
It's
I
a
mean, they
glorified
added in-
port. Added a few Wind Waker things.
What? Really?
They added in
Yeah,
Tetra and
They
King of Red
added
Lions.
like that one pirate lady, and they added a level that looks like the areas in Wind Waker, and that's pretty much it.
Oh.
They added in the King too.
They didn't add
Wait,
anything from Majora's Mask?
Also added in the King. I forgot about that. But either way, it's just you get the game on significantly worse hardware. So you thought that frame rate was bad before, ha ha ha. And
So it's on 3DS now?
It's on
yeah, it's on
3DS.
3DS only. As far as I know, the extra content also is not going to be going to Wii U. As far as I know, but
No, you
know,
get
I
the
could-
characters too.
Yeah,
If you get the
so
3DS version, you get the characters.
yeah. Well, I'm talking about in terms of like the Wii U owners of the game.
Yeah. I mean,
The
no,
Wii owners of
you have to
3DS.
get it.
Okay. And
Yeah,
as far as I know, it contains all of it. I don't know how much of the DLC it has, but as far as I know, it's the complete thing. I don't think it's co-op because it'd be hard to do it on that tiny little screen, but who knows? Yeah, it's just
Okay, so it's just a port.
it's
just a-
weird. Like I fully advocate the idea of having portable experiences that you'd usually have on a console, but having a really big like Dynasty Warriors-esque kind of experience doesn't fit as per well as consoles, just because like I don't know. Typically, and I contradict myself sometimes, but basically the idea is it's mainly meant for bite-sized experiences. You know, like a single level of Mario, done, save it, put it down. You know, like mobile games, you know, usually like 10 minutes tops. And that's if you actually do like a really long time. Most of the time they can only be a few minutes. And so it's like good for bus stops, or waiting when you're sitting and doing something. But having like a dedicated 20 to 30 to 40 minute, you know, battle to where it's not really ideal to pause it or keep it at rest at any point seems like it's not what the 3DS is best at, if I have to say that.
Right. So
Not that it can't do it. I mean, I'm glad that they are. I'm glad that 3DS owners get to have something that Wii U owners have, just because of that disparity. But I just think between the two, I'd much rather play the Wii U version.
yeah, I agree with you. So when you guys say the King of Red Lions is in, I'm assuming you mean his human form.
His human form, but he turns into the boat.
He turns into the boat. Okay, I was about to say, I just imagine a boat just running over people.
Now that would be funny.
Oh god. Well, anyway, any more thoughts on this,
Nah, I'm good.
Nah.
Barry?
No, not really. I never played Hyrule Warriors. I know what it's basically Dynasty Warriors with the Zelda coat of paint. So I did try a demo for it, and I was like, okay, this is Dynasty Warriors, but with Zelda. I'm not opposed to Dynasty Warriors, but it's one where I don't know what it is. I feel like I should have more reason to like Dynasty Warriors than I do, but at the same time, it gets kind of a little too repetitive for me. And as much as I love beating the crap out of tons and tons of enemies all at once, and I love over-the-top cathartic crap like that, that's usually my bread and butter. At the same time, when it comes to Dynasty Warriors, it just feels like I don't know. There's just something about it that feels, how do I put this, monotonous about it.
Yeah.
And I guess repetitive and monotonous are pretty similar in terms of terminology. It just feels like monotonous is a more applicable term. And to kind of lend to your point, Lenny, I do agree on some level that portables are better for bite-sized experiences. Granted, there are some games on it, like one we're going to get to pretty soon, that are better as long terms, like Fire Emblem. They're just really, really good RPGs all the way through, and are just really good on a portable system. But something like Dynasty Warriors, it feels like something like Dynasty Warriors, or specifically Hyrule Warriors, it feels like that game is really, really, I guess the word is a little too crowded for it to be on a handheld.
On a small
if that
screen.
makes any sense.
Yeah.
Well, you want to know why I find the Fire Emblem to be like completely different and fine in regards to that? Fire Emblem, at least if it's the same way that I remember it, is turn-based. Meaning that it's not like reflex-based or timing-based, it's not real-time. So with that in mind, it's not like... Well, I mean, if you want to pause because it's like turn, you can. That's why Pokemon works really well on portable. I mean, it would work really good on console too, but that's why I think it works well on portable, because like, do you need to like pause your game or something, like close your DS for like a minute to go and do something? Well, congratulations, you can, because the enemy won't do jack until you do something first. So
Congratulations, you can stop playing.
yeah, congratulations, you don't have to play it, and that's why that works as opposed to what Hyrule Warriors would be trying to do, because typically real-time stuff that isn't relatively bite-sizing in context doesn't fare the best on modern-day mobile stuff. It may have in the past, but at least today, people are so busy and so much trying to just do everything in small amounts of time that it's just not a priority for them.
Right. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, which I would like to start with a big...
I think we know where this is going.
Yep. So it's Metroid Prime, Hunters, Federation, Force.
Oh man.
So basically,
I
it's
think you're missing another F after that,
so basically, it's
followed by a U.
yeah. So it's basically Nintendo's big FU. We don't have to make a Metroid game if we don't want to game. So basically, it's Metroid Prime, but I did not see any Samus. It looks like it's a multiplayer shooter, from what I saw.
Yes. Yeah, multiplayer. I think it's a co-op thing too.
Oh god, a multiplayer shooter on the 3DS. No matter which way I spin it.
Didn't the original Hunters do something like that?
It was more like an arena shooter though.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, like, so last time I checked the video, and that was like hours after it had released, The video had 1,000 likes and 16,000 dislikes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Okay, this is very minor, but when we were thinking about, I don't know who these guys are. I'm presuming they're bounty hunters like Samus, and the first thing that came to mind is yes. The one thing everybody knows is that bounty hunters are very, very good at cooperating and helping each other out.
Well, no, you're playing as the Federation.
I don't know who that is.
Jalen, explain the Federation.
Okay.
Point retracted.
The Galactic Federation are the guys who send. They're the basically, like the Republic in Star Wars. They're the ones who gave Samus her missions in her game.
The guys actually do cooperate then.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. My gripe is defeated.
Your argument isn't valid.
Yeah. But why base the game around the freaking Federation though? Their job their job in Metroid Prime games is to die or give us missions, and then die after giving us missions.
It's true.
They're literally the red shirts of the Metroid universe.
Pretty much.
You know what they could have done? If they did like maybe a DLC to like a real Metroid Prime game where you focus on like the lives of people in the Federation or something as like a story-based thing to kind of expand upon the universe.
Maybe they could do like a prologue or something.
Yeah, do something where it's like you just show off what it's like being the people who always die while watching this badass bounty hunter go around doing their thing. And just make it a sad little thing. Just make it like the, Prepare to Cry DLC. And like
basically make it like the intro to Last of Us.
Yeah, don't actually make it like the main thing of a game when everyone's like, "Oh boy, I can't wait for the next Metroid Prime." It's like, "What's that? A game that has nothing to do with Metroid Prime, but we'll slap the title on it anyways because we have the rights to it? Why didn't you say so?"
That's like if they made a Mario game and they go like, "Mario, Goombas and Koopa Troopas," and it's basically just Koopa Troopa and Goombas cockfighting in a circle as the Mushroom Kingdom cheers on.
Oh my god.
Wait, wouldn't that be technically called shroom fighting?
Shroom fighting.
Coop fighting. But that's what will happen. Bowser's dead, and so it's devolved into chaos.
Yeah, pretty
Oh
much.
god.
So, to say it's not what people wanted is an understatement, really.
Big
Yeah,
understatement.
right.
Yeah, so anybody have anything else to say about this?
Alright. Thank you, Nintendo, for ruining my dreams of Samus fighting the Federation after Fusion.
We're never gonna continue the timeline.
No.
We're gonna
keep going back.
We're gonna see Samus's birth before we go any further.
I actually wouldn't mind seeing that. I've heard her backstory, like origin story, is really interesting.
It is.
Like I don't know if there was like an actual like prequel to Zero Mission or something like that when we actually see like Samus's adolescence or something like that becoming the badass bounty hunter that we all know her as.
Yeah,
I actually wouldn't mind
Trained
seeing
by
that.
bird people.
It's called Other M and it's kind of garbage.
Okay, before that. I've not played Other M. I'm not going to judge Other M. I've heard a lot of people say it's shit. I will quietly abstain from giving an opinion on something I haven't played. But at the same time, it's like, okay, given this character is such a badass, I actually want to know how this person came to be the person that she is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would
And I'm
work.
sure it would be very interesting.
It would
That
be.
does not include the word other or M in the title.
Of course.
Go ahead. Repeat that, Lenny.
I said through obvious symbolisms and metaphors about motherhood. That's how she became a badass bounty hunter, Perry.
No, Adam authorized her.
Yeah.
Adam authorized her to become a badass.
Yeah. Okay. So we could go do that and find out about her beginning, or we can advance the story. She can control fucking Metroids, Perry. She can do that now, and they've never done anything with it.
By all, look, dude, I'm just saying, like, either one of those scenarios of whether after Fusion or before Other M, either one of those scenarios I am perfectly cool with. But at the same time, I understand why people are upset by this. Now, as someone who this is another series that I have never beaten any game all the way through. I am fascinated by the character of Samus. I respect her as I think she looks really cool, has a great design, and I'm just gonna have a total dude moment, but looks fantastic in that Zero suit, and is one of my favorite fighters in Brawl. But no, sorry, in Smash for Wii U. Sorry, I was getting the titles mixed up in my head. But
Well, she is in Brawl too.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's true, technically. But at the same time, I was like, okay, if I want, given how much rep that this character has, I want to know where that comes from, and I want it in a form that doesn't piss the fan base off to no end and makes them cringe every time a title comes up. So, but at the same time, from what I've heard after Fusion, I was like, that sounds like some really interesting shit. I want to see this.
Yeah.
So the problem with I have Prime. Actually, yeah, I do have Prime on the GameCube right here, right next to Zelda. So I do have it. And I do have the Prime Trilogy Collection on Wii. The problem is that with the Prime Trilogy Collection, I can't do, again, motion controls worth crap. So the Wii is getting the GameCube versions of Prime and Prime 2 are probably my best bets of trying to play those. And yet I tried playing a little bit of Prime 1, and I'm sorry, but the controls were kind of, well, let me just put it this way, not friendly for someone like me.
Yeah. That game was early in the GameCube's life cycle, so the controls were a little bit stiff. But
I will admit, it's aged really well for how old it is.
oh, the game is fantastic. Like easily the best Prime game, which is rare for the first game to be the best in the trilogy.
Yeah.
But any more thoughts on this horrible abomination with the Metroid title put on it?
It just reminds me that I want a Republic Commando sequel.
Oh, this actually makes me kind of wonder. Like, do you think this could be like the same thing? Like, okay, run with me on this one. What Sonic 06 is to Sonic, and then Sonic Boom was to Sonic 06. Do you think Metroid Prime Huntress Federation Force could be what this is to Other M?
Pretty
Like,
much.
do you think this could be worse than Other M?
It might be.
Potentially.
I mean, at least you got to play as Samus in the other one.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
And I've heard that at least the gameplay is pretty solid.
Oh, it's made by the Ninja Gaiden team, and like what they can do action, but they can't really do characters. So they made Samus whiny. That's what people didn't like. They made her
Yeah,
whiny.
As someone who loves the Ninja Gaiden series and loves Team Ninja usually, I will fully admit that characters are not their strong suit. Action, yes. Characters, no.
Bring back leather jacket sunglasses, man. He wore sunglasses indoors,
It's true.
and he knew how to make games. He's the guy who originally made Ninja Gaiden.
Tomonobu Itagaki?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to actually see his other game, Devil's Third. I actually do want to see that.
That looked.
Oh yeah, they didn't show that off this year.
Yeah, they
No, they
did.
did.
That was surprisingly absent.
Among many other things they didn't show. Well, we'll
Yeah.
get to that later.
Where's Scalebound Kamiya? All right, moving on.
Anyways, moving on from something that doesn't piss us off.
All right, Fire Emblem Fate. Jalen, since you're arguably the biggest Fire Emblem fan in this Skype call, I'm gonna go ahead and let you take care of this.
All right, from the little we saw, I think it looks very interesting. They didn't get too much into the gameplay aspect of it all, but I noticed that the team up from Awakening came back. I think I've heard there's supposed to be new classes, but I haven't really done any digging since a few days, so I'm not sure. But so far, it looks really good.
Have they shown off any gameplay? Like,
Just little stuff like the actual in battle stuff, which is standard of the form for Fire Emblem, especially since Awakening. It still uses like a similar graphical style, in terms of in combat, not like art style and stuff like that.
interesting.
I think they showed off like a 9-minute trailer or something like that featuring one of their new things called Castle Mode.
Yeah, I think so.
That was at least a little interesting.
All right, so Lenny, your thoughts?
It looks good. I mean, I've only played a tiny bit of like the first Fire Emblem, like as in the first one released in the States,
Mhm.
and it's. I'll say this: at least the cutscenes I've seen in the trailers look like they're well done, and that makes me think that the story could definitely be very interesting, or at least interesting to my, tastes or interests, so to speak. and I like the gameplay from before. So I mean, if it has interesting story and gameplay that I found to be good, then there's that. I mean, I don't really know what else to say, to be honest. I mean, I don't have much context for it. Just looks good. I hope it's good based on like the fact that Awakening got a lot of praise, and this was made by the same people. Then I'll be like, awesome, more good games. I'm happy. That's it. Kind of simple.
Yeah. You guys want Perry? You got anything to say?
Oh yes.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I loved the fuck out of Awakening. I absolutely loved it. It was probably one of the best accidental surprises I stumbled upon the last generation. And I remember distinctly going into GameStop the day it came out, or when it came out. It was the same time that Sly Cooper, what was it, Thieves in Time?
Yeah.
And Dead Space 3 came out. And both of those, I was not exactly looking forward to playing either one of those. I was curious, but not like super hyped for it. So I was kind of looking around if anything else that I was able to play. And so the guys at GameStop, I was like talking to them and say, "Hey, what about Fire Emblem?" I was like, "What the heck is that?" And they told me it was tactics based. And I was like, "Oh, so it's like strategy." And so I usually like strategy games, so it gives me a chance to think. And so I decided, it's like, okay, I'll kind of give this thing a little bit of a chance and shot in the dark. And then I just proceeded to lose my mind, where I have never, like, let me put it this way. I have run my 3DS's battery out so many times just because I wanted to play one more second of Fire Emblem Awakening. I could not put the sucker down. And it was one where I was like, I must play more. And I loved all the little details they did within the dialogue and the characters, and even just putting them together as couples was awesome, and even the kids were awesome. Just everything about Awakening, I absolutely adored it. I love the soundtrack. I love the look of it. I could go gaga over it for just hours. And I think even when it came out, when I did my favorite games of the year, that time of the year, it was probably my favorite game of the year. And that's saying something, because Nintendo rarely ever does that for me. And yet I was like, this is what I want from you guys. You can actually make a story that I actually give a damn about. And you get good characters and there's good dialogue. It's like, yes, do more of this. This is what I want. And so the fact that they announced a new one, I was like, thank you. This is exactly what I'm waiting for, and I'm super excited for it. And I love, like, as soon as I heard the music for the first trailer, I was like, done. Instant pre-order. Where's my money? I'm going to throw it at the screen. So to say I'm excited for Fire Emblem Fates is probably an understatement. I am super hyped for it. It's probably the thing I am most hyped for out of this entire Nintendo event.
So it's funny you should say that, all that, because Fire Emblem Awakening was actually supposed to be the last Fire Emblem game. Like, before that, Fire Emblem was pretty much dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I even read interviews, like I heard that, like you said, Fire Emblem, this Awakening was supposed to be, ironically, the last one, and this was, I feel like the debacle it had at launch was part of the reason why it became a success sales-wise. Not just the fact that it wasn't a good game, it wasn't just a good game, but it was so hard to get a hold of that people went out of their way to try and find it and get it digitally, that it increased the desire to say, like, okay, this is getting really hard to find, I must play this. And then when it actually became physically available again, I actually bought it a second time. And I've actually made multiple save campaigns. Like, I think I've gone through Awakening's campaign at least 6 or 7 times. Very, very few games in my life have ever gotten more than 3 playthroughs out of me. One of them being Star Wars Knights of the Republic. And that's one of my favorite games of all time. And so the fact that Fire Emblem has ranked among that level of replayability for me is saying something. So I really, and I heard that from interviews, they said they were just going to throw everything they could at this last one, just kind of like one last hurrah. And truth be told, probably the best thing the franchise has happened for the franchise, at least from what I've discovered in its history. That
It's
it's
true.
like, hey, we're gonna give this the biggest like jolt of electricity we possibly can. If it doesn't work, hey, at least we had a good run. But if it does, we can make more of these, and we're making more of these, and I am a happy man.
All right. So with that, I have 2 more questions for you, Perry. Who did you wife up, and why did they censor Tharja's booty in the American version?
Okay, I can answer I can answer the second question first because Nintendo's a bunch of fucking prudes.
All right. First question then.
First question is, I waifued 3 times in that game. I waifu Lucina, who is my main waifu, and I don't give a shit what Matt says. I also waifu Tharja. I actually have her figure where she's bent over, and I must say, dad ass. And I also waifu Naui. And I don't care that she looks like Jailbait. She's a 1,000-year-old dragon chick that can transform into a dragon in combat. I'm sorry, but I don't give a shit what so-called age standard states we live in this world. This is Fire Emblem, motherfuckers.
But Perry, Tiki, she can do the same thing.
Don't get me wrong. I like Tiki. Don't get me wrong. I like Tiki as well, and I will admit she does have a nice rack. But at the same time, I didn't get enough time to spend with Tiki to basically waifu her. So now it was the best option I could go with at the time.
Okay.
So at the same time, it's like I really want to just mess around with all the different combinations of people and things. I haven't played as a character as a female Robin, but if I did, I probably would go with Chrom just to have Lucina as a potential daughter and probably have potentially the most badass daughter ever.
Dude, if you could do the
but-
right thing, Lucina's broken.
Oh yeah, Lucina. Well, Morgan in the game is broken as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like as soon as like the final boss battle came around and Morgan and Lucina were at my side, I was like, I'm so proud of my daughter. It's awesome. And like I was literally like tearing up. It was like, you're just like SS2 Gohan from the end of the Cell Saga. You're completely badass, and I'm so proud of you. And like literally, it's one of the few games where I had to sit back and reflect. Is like I have my wife, my daughter, my best friend, and I have all my friends at my side when we're going to a final battle. This is hands down one of the coolest fucking moments I've had in a long time. And I was actually playing out the whole battle in my head like it was one giant cutscene. And it actually made me think, like, you know what? If I was ever going to have the balls to actually try and help make a video game movie, like produce it in some capacity, I could actually see Fire Emblem being done like an HBO miniseries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be done, and I think it would look fantastic if it was done in in the style of Awakening. And so, if it was done like that, I would think it could work. So I really have a lot of attachment to Lucina, Tharja, and Naui. All the other chicks in there, really awesome. I like pretty much everybody in that game. I don't think there's a single character in Awakening that I dislike at all. Now, granted, there is one character that's a little bit full of himself, but I can tolerate him.
Talking about Virion?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Moving on.
Sorry, I went a little splooge-tastic on that.
Lenny, you still there?
I'm here.
All right.
Sorry.
All right.
Hanging in the wind.
All right. So
I don't have much to say on it because I haven't played much of the other games. So, you go for it, Barry.
all right. So moving on to not what we expected. Oh wait. No wait. That's Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem. I'm sorry.
You have my attention, Atlas. I am waiting to see what you've got.
I think some wires got crossed, and they said, "Okay, give me Shin Megami Tensei," and Atlas went like, "You mean Persona, right?"
Okay, let's really take this into consideration. When has Atlas really failed in in recent memory?
Never.
Getting bought out
And-
by Sega.
And okay, again, they're games. Have they really failed in
No.
terms of being good?
They haven't.
They apparently failed at life choices, though.
Now, Fire Emblem is on a big kick now, especially after Awakening was really good, and now Fates looks to be just as good, maybe better, who knows. But we've got 2 series with a pretty good pedigree. We've got a company that's one of the most loved JRPG companies in the world.
Yeah.
We've also got one of the most underrated franchises in Nintendo's library, and probably their most mature if you think about it.
It is.
So I don't understand why this is met with such. I personally don't understand why it's met with such animosity. I understand that it's not what Ricky expects. That's fine. If he doesn't want it and he doesn't like it, then that's his decision to make, and he's entitled to it. But at the same time, the sheer weirdness of this crossover and this idea has me so curious. I was like, I just gotta see this. I've got to see how this works out. And so, I will admit, I don't think I've played a proper Shin Megami Tensei game, but I have dabbled in Persona a little bit, and I can understand the whole comparisons between Persona and, like, this is more Persona than SMT. But at the same time, it's like, but again, Persona is a really good series. So, what's the problem?
I
Is
think
it just
the
because
problem
it does-
is that it wasn't supposed to be a Persona game. If it was called Persona Cross Shin Megami Tensei or Persona Cross Fire Emblem, then I don't think anyone would have a problem. But it's like the thing that it resembles most, Persona, is not supposed to be included in this. At least, well, that's my assumption.
Okay, Barry, let me put it this way. Let's say you pay money to get front row seats at a Michael Jackson concert, okay? And then Chris Brown comes out and starts dancing like Michael Jackson. And it turns out Michael Jackson's been dead for a couple years. How would you feel?
Well, first of all, if I got tickets for a Michael Jackson show in 2015, first time I'd go, yeah, how would, unless you found some magical way to raise him from the dead, first of all, awesome. Second of all, try and figure out more worthwhile people to bring back from the dead, because I'm sorry, MJ was awesome. But at the same time, I can understand why people would be upset by this. But again, I don't know. I'm kind of divided on this one. I understand why people would be upset.
Okay.
Because it's not what people expected.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly legitimate. I mean, I can almost say, like, granted, it's not like DMC levels of, like, animosity and hate.
Yeah.
But I understand that it's not what people expected. And that's fine. But given the pedigrees of the companies involved, the series is involved, and the mechanics of them being consistently good, I would think that they've earned enough credit by now to say, like, okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and think that they know what they're doing. So I'm willing to give Atlas a chance. If it sucks, and I will be fully admitted as much as anyone else. But if it's actually good, just because it's not what people are expecting does not mean it won't be good.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I understand.
Jalen, you're the only one who's, I can say, like, a big fan of both series.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, here's the thing. Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei are both very underrated series, and they're both OGs in their genres.
Mm-hmm.
And the two coming together is, a lot of people say, it's hard to do. It's not, because the Atlas team likes Fire Emblem. They're big fans. They wouldn't have made the game Majin Tensei, which is just Fire Emblem with demons. And with the proper writing and just more in a gameplay that's more like Majin Tensei, with a bit more of like demon negotiation, you would have a perfect crossover that brings over the legacies of both games, especially to an audience that does not have access to every game. We don't have Fire Emblems 2, 3, 4, and 5, or 6. And we don't have Shin Megami Tensei's 1 and 2, or if. And to see all these characters come together that we've only played through emulators or read about on wikis would have been monumental.
And even the ones that were released were hard as crap to find, even when they came out.
Exactly. So a lot of people see it as like a missed opportunity. And this, what we got when we first saw it on the direct that day, there was a big confusion. Even the producer of the game, who worked on Devil Survivor series, said, "Yeah, that trailer, it can mess some people up. I can understand why people would like have a bad reaction to it." So I have faith in both people. Atlas is making the game with and Intelligent Systems is doing the basically telling them what not to do, what they should do here when it comes to like the Fire Emblem aspects of the game. So I'm just gonna wait and see. I hope it's good. I want it to be good. Atlas has never failed me, so I just I'm just gonna wait and see.
Yeah. So let me just put it this way. Right now, people are in the stage where like they don't want to accept it because it's not what they thought it would be. But like after they're done airing out all those grievances, that GameStop associate goes like, "So you do want to pre-order?" And they go like, "Yeah, here's $10."
Mm-hmm.
So they're still gonna play it either way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they need. I think they actually need to play it for themselves in order for that opinion to change. To change that. Oh, this is not what we wanted. This is not what was supposed to happen. You know, if they play it and it's good, you know, it'll be a classic instantly.
Now, question, Adolfo, do you think a good idea to help quell people's suspicions, like you're saying, would be to release a demo?
Maybe.
Like, what would you? Okay, since it sounds like the general consensus among people reacting to the trailer, excluding myself, is a little bit hesitant. What would you say is the best thing for them to do to quell suspicions?
Jalen, what do you think?
The demo would be fine. The thing about RPG demos is that either you're gonna do it at an early point or like at a midpoint, somewhere around like level 5, level 10, or maybe level 20. More gameplay showcase would just be good too, and something translated, please.
Yeah. Like honestly, it all depends on execution, how the game is handled. Like public relation also has a lot to do with it, like what they release, what they show off. Like I think so many things have to be perfect in order for people to slowly start embracing this game, because like the reaction, like from what I see, is very you know. But like okay, let me give you an example. When the trailer debuted on the Nintendo Direct, like everybody was like, "Yeah, this looks awesome!" Like in our friends group, and me and Jalen were like, "Oh wait, is that Fire Emblem or Shin Megami Tensei?"
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so it's not like we don't want to play the game or we hate the game. It's just that, just like Jalen says, it was a missed opportunity for two like lesser known franchises to come together and make a really good crossover.
And who knows? It could have resulted in a really good crossover. It could be.
It is, but you know, the missed opportunity is if it is a good game, it doesn't really look, or from what I can tell, feel like any of the series, like any of both of the series. So if it's good, people are gonna go like, "That was good." So if they go back and play any of the games, they're gonna be like turned off because it's different. You know, from what I know, Shin Megami Tensei games are hard.
Oh yeah. Like that's actually apparently that's like it's kind of a slight sidetrack. That's one of the reasons that Atlus published Demon Souls, is because it reminded them of Shin Megami Tensei in terms of both of them being difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is maybe just a slight side note. I think the issue is more a matter of not quality, because I don't think they ever said, "Oh, Atlus, what are they doing? This is going to be awful." I think it was more a matter of they told us it would be this, and instead it was this. It's like, you order a chocolate smoothie, you get a strawberry smoothie. Strawberry smoothies are fine, but you ordered a goddamn chocolate smoothie. What is this fruit sitting in front of me?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, we were expecting, like, medieval turn-based combat, and, like, we get freaking J-pop stock character number 1 riding in on a Pegasus, and we were like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Which, again, when I look at it, it's like, that's weird as shit, but I love it. And
I mean, it looks interesting, but we're going back to the point that it's not, you know, it's not either game. What connects them to Fire Emblem? Oh, their hair is blue. Oh, okay.
Congratulations.
Their outfits look a little bit more regal.
Yeah, so
at least on some of the characters, it looks a little bit more regal. But I feel like we're getting off track with this one.
Before we have to label this episode the Fire Emblem discussion episode, let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
All right. So the next
home designer.
Yes, Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. So I feel like this is a crossover between one of those Lifetime home designer shows and Pimp My Ride.
Interesting way of putting it.
So one of you guys who actually saw the trailer, please explain to me what the hell is this?
Lenny, you want
I didn't see the trailer, so I've got nothing.
Lenny, you got anything? Lenny, you there?
I had to think.
I think he had a brain fart. It's like, wait, this is a thing?
I'm like, wait a minute, is this the Animal Crossing that I'm not interested in, or the Animal Crossing that I'm not interested in?
Oh.
To be fair, these two Animal Crossings are the only ones that I've explicitly stated to have zero interest in. Most of the other Animal Crossings I have at least a passing interest in. It's just, it is literally just like, it's Animal Crossing trying to be like, hey, you know how, we were like The Sims before? And you know how you could put stuff in your house? Well, now that is most of the stuff you do.
You can do it
You
for
just-
other people.
Build and design houses, and you just construct housing things, and you decorate stuff, and that. It's like you're not obligated to do all the other jobs like you would in the... It's basically like taking the jobs and other tasks that you do in all the other Animal Crossing games. As far as I know, there's like a wide variety of stuff to do, and just like cutting them all off. It's like, no, you house now. You see that house? Go there and design it. You want to
Animal
go
Crossing Sims.
You want to go fishing? Are you fishing for houses? Then no. And
So you
You're
work for
fishing-
Tom
if you
Nook now?
Fish though and get a house out of that. I want to know what lake you're fishing in.
that's basically the gist of it. I mean, as far as I know, it's possible that it'll be just like every other Animal Crossing, but at the very minimum, it focuses on like house/room design creation aspects, and therefore makes it the least interesting to me. And that's the worst. That's the best case scenario is if you're able to do everything else, but then your main goal is just to design houses. But based on the trailer, it looks to me that that's mainly your main shtick. Like,
You're a house designer.
yeah, you just place a table in the corner of a room, and you place a carpet down. Bam, 10 out of 10. Tom Nook gives you $1 million. There you go.
Do you have to pay him back?
I have no. You know what? You probably wrecked his house, and he's like, "Fine, I won't make you owe me anything if you redesign my house and everyone else's house."
Yeah, you won't get beat up by the Raccoon Mafia.
Yeah. Mr. Rossetti won't beat your ass to a pulp.
All right, so as fun as that sounds, that might get me to at least glance at the 3DS box one day. So let's go ahead and talk about the new one, Yokai Watch. This is a game I've never heard of.
Oh boy, another game where you control monsters to fight against other people who control monsters. Yay!
Yeah.
Okay, so Jalen, you gave a good explanation before. Go ahead and explain it again.
Okay, Yokai Watch is a game developed by Level 5 and makers of the wonderful Professor Layton and Dark Cloud, which we'll never get ever again. But specifically on Yokai Watch, it's similar to Pokemon in that you're hunting Japanese monsters known as yokai, and you capture them and you put them in your watch, and you can summon them to fight other monsters as well, and they're all over the city. So like you're trying to like you're at the bus stop and like there's this yokai just standing there waiting on the bus, stuff like that.
Interesting.
And they have these special like abilities in them in the battles, and they're turn-based like Pokemon, where you either tap the screen or rub the screen or do circles, something like that. I'm pretty sure there's probably one where you yell at the screen and like they do their specials. The interesting thing I've seen about it is that you can have more. The way you switch party members is like you know how you can turn a watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do that to change party members.
So it's kind of like Ben 10.
Something like that, but you don't turn into the monster.
Yeah. Alright, so it sounds interesting actually. I'll play pretty much anything that studio will make because I don't know about you guys, I actually really like the Dark Cloud series.
It was really good.
It was, and Professor Layton's actually very like thought provoking and pretty good actually.
I've never
Falls
played
with me.
Dark Cloud.
Yeah, well, it's very underrated. Like we got 2 and like they didn't do very well.
Mm-hmm.
But but you say they're worth seeking out?
They are really 2 goes for 2 is really expensive.
Yeah.
If you try to buy it online. I think
How
Jalen spent
expensive are we talking?
hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I think the cheapest copy I saw that was like in like good condition and it wasn't new, it was like 60.
Yeah, that was at a flea market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn.
Shit. Oh, time to find an emulator.
Yeah.
Time to scour all my stores around Dallas.
Yeah. So now that we've gotten all the games out of the way, what did you think about Nintendo's was it a direct again?
I didn't say anything about yokai.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm actually kind of curious to try this out, mostly because of the source material. Since yokai's based on Japanese mythology, correct?
Yes.
Me being a myth nut, this is something that's like, okay, this is my bread and butter. Let's see what we got. So, I will admit, a lot of the creature designs don't have me really curious or that interested yet. But if it's a similar thing like Pokemon where it's actually evolving the creatures, then I'm a little bit more interested to see what they'll become. I don't know if that's the case, though. I don't know much about Yokai Watch to actually say that. But considering that it's a lot of it steeped in Japanese folklore and myths, that has me very curious to see, like, okay, where did these myths come? Like, what do these creatures look like? Where do the myths come from? And see what I'm more interested in the lore and the like source material than I am the actual game, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm willing to try it out.
That's understandable.
Yeah. It sounds like an interesting game, honestly. Like, I would try it out just to see like how the game plays and everything. And that studio has a track of good but very underappreciated games, so I'd try it out.
Fair enough.
All right, everybody good?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
got
All right,
small comments about the game.
all right, go ahead.
Basically, I think the idea. Okay, it's kind of like my snarky comment before about, oh boy, more monsters that you control to fight other monsters or other people who control monsters. You know, obviously, poking fun that at surface level appears to be a Pokemon ripoff. And I don't think it is on a more deeper level. But just the idea that I've seen a lot of things like this already means that the only way it could really wow me or make me want to try it is through excellent execution or interesting aspects in regards to gameplay. And at least based on what you said, the idea that you have to do various kinds of touch commands to activate their specials and whatnot might be interesting, but I might have to see more on the gameplay end before I actually want to, jump into it. Because, again, just right now it just seems like, an alternate to Pokemon, Digimon. There's a lot of other ones I can't name off the top of my head, but, there's a wide variety of them. So hopefully the gameplay is enough to help distinguish it from the crowd.
All right. So now that we've actually covered all the games, what did you guys think about Nintendo's press conference?
Yeah, in my opinion, it was a little lackluster. They didn't bring out their A game, I feel.
All right, Perry.
I pretty much agree with that. Pretty much, only 3 games of those I know I'm going to get out of that list, and the 4th one being Yokai. I have a passing interest in because of its mythology. Everything else, very indifferent towards. I kind of don't care, or I am so out of the loop in terms of the series and my overall experience with it that I can't claim that I'm excited. So I'm just I would say roughly, if I had to give it a grade, maybe about a C or C plus at best. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Not terrible, but certainly not their best performance I could have seen.
All right. What about you?
If they had like Wii U Zelda, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not a huge Zelda fan. If they at least brought that, then I could at least be nicer and give them, like, say, a B minus.
Yeah. Wii U Zelda would have actually been to have Star Fox and Zelda. That would have been great.
And a new Metroid, a legit Metroid.
Yeah, and a legit Metroid, which they said they're not making another one until their new console.
Which will be fucking forever.
Yeah. So, Lenny, what do you think about the director, or was it an actual press conference this year?
It was a direct, as far as I can tell.
All right. Well, what do you think?
Well, my body was ready, but my body was ready for a lot more. So I got my body ready for nothing.
For a nap.
All that ready, wasted.
That's a good way to put it.
Basically, the only things that really piques my interest in terms of what I would consider a game for me was Star Fox and Mario Maker, and then Paper Jam was like a pleasant surprise for me, and everything else was either stuff that I'm uneducated enough about to where I couldn't build any hype, but it is kind of like the same with you. I'll say this, the other thing is, did anyone else notice a significant lack of games for the Wii U?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
90% of the games were for 3DS.
This is true.
And I don't even think. Actually, wait, let me count. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the games talked about are going to be like only on the Wii U, I think.
Yes.
Actually, wait,
Wow,
no, sorry. Oh, yeah, wait. Yeah, only 4. Like Holy World, Amiibo Festival, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and Star Fox Zero. That's it.
Wow, I feel like I want to punch myself in the face for that.
And everything else is like 3DS. And I'm not gonna lie, the 3DS is selling like fucking hotcakes, and the Wii U is kind of on the back burner in terms of sales compared to the other ones. So I don't necessarily blame them for focusing on the console that's selling a lot more. But on the other hand, maybe it'd be a good idea to, I'd say, make bigger games and bigger announcements for the one that isn't selling so well so that it does. Because to be honest, the only reason that I'd say like Smash Brothers and Mario Kart is a majority of the people who actually want to own a Wii U. Like everything else before that was like, oh, cool. I get stuff that's available on most other platforms, kinda.
Yeah.
And,
I thought Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem was also Wii U.
Yeah.
oh, my bad. I forgot.
So we got 5. All right.
Oh,
That is Wii U?
Yeah.
That's Wii U.
Oh, we're in the black.
That changes everything.
It's a whole hand, you
Out
guys.
of 10, couldn't be ready enough. But anyways, no, but I'll say in more general terms, I guess I was expecting a bit more. I know that you guys mentioned this, that they said they would not show off Zelda at this E3. I didn't know that. I was ignorant to that fact, so I thought they were going to show it. So when it didn't, I was kind of sad. So I'd probably say maybe a 6.5 or 7 out of 10, and I'd say about 3 or 4 of those points is because of the Nintendo Muppets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. I'm gonna have to agree with you there, Lenny. I was expecting a lot more from Nintendo, but what they showed off was cool. You know, especially this. I was very impressed with Star Fox, but nothing else really quite. You know, from what I saw from the trailers on YouTube, nothing else really grabbed my attention. So yeah, a good 6 out of 10 seems justifiable. All right, with that, let's move on to Square Enix conference. Who here is a Square fan?
I'm a Square fan.
Me.
Yeah, I'm a Square fan.
All right, so
I'm not well versed in them, but I like their stuff.
yeah, I like their old stuff. I would say more like around the time they were Square Soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, Square Enix. I like some stuff from them,
They
but
bring some gems from time to time.
yeah, they do. Well, first game on the list we have is Just Cause 3, which is basically you're a soldier that rains down freedom on unsuspecting terrorists while you blow up their gas stations.
You
In a wingsuit.
free this island nation by destroying everything.
You
Exactly.
free this nation by destroying and royally fucking physics.
Exactly. And you get a parachute
Yeah.
And a wingsuit.
and a wingsuit.
And
So
a better grappling hook.
So just to say that game series is fun for just the sake of being fun is kind of an understatement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah. So any thoughts on Just Cause 3, Perry?
Well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I like Just Cause 2. I only played the demo for it. I never actually bought the game, but that was probably one of the most fun demos I've ever messed around with. And I just like the sheer absurdity of how much you can actually destroy. Because when I played the demo for it, I think it was a timed demo where you could only see how much you could do in an hour. And I almost took that as a challenge and say, how much destruction can I actually cause within an hour? And apparently a lot. when I'm left to my own devices. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this biplane and then I'm gonna attach this statue to it, drag it across this highway, causing massive amounts of car damage all across the freeway, and then I'm gonna drop this statue into this missile silo, causing it to explode while jumping onto a motorcycle, and then just proceed to ride up the building and blow up a missile silo while jumping off said motorcycle. And then proceed to attach to a helicopter and just hang there like a boss.
Whoa.
So, I like the sheer absurdity of Just Cause 2, and I love how crazy it gets. So to say I think I will actually buy Just Cause 3 just because I want to see how much more nutty it can get. Also, the addition of the wingsuit sounds pretty cool, so I'm up for that.
All right. Lenny, any thoughts?
I like explosions.
Okay, 10 out of 10, best explanation ever. If you haven't pre-ordered that game now, ladies and gentlemen,
That should be a quote on the back of the box art. It should be, I like explosions. Cricket 0, 10 out of 10.
Oh my god.
I can feel those pre-orders coming in now. Square's going like, where are all these pre-orders coming from? Who did this?
Like Lenny sent you.
Anything else, Lenny?
That would be pretty funny.
Anything else?
No, but in actual thoughts, I think it looks vastly improved over before. I'm glad that there's not a ton of companies who are, I'd say, as completely aware of what makes their game work as the devs behind Just Cause, because there are a lot of times where you see sequels where they'll take it in either the same direction or in a new direction, and they'll fail to understand why it's a bad thing sometimes. Like, you know, sometimes you get series that get too repetitive. They're like, oh, let's do what we did before, but do it again. And then people be like, no, it's just the same shit. It's no. And even though that's technically the case in this, it's not a matter of it seeming repetitious. It's a matter of taking what was already great and expanding it. So now, instead of me drudging along thinking it's the same explosions on a bigger map, it's me thinking, now it's many different kinds of prettier explosions in a much wider variety of ways. You know, because the new grappling hook, for example, just that alone would probably be worth the purchase. That, the wingsuit, the fact that like you can actually shoot stuff from your parachute now, and just everything. It's just knowing what you did right, making it 10 times better, bringing up the level of quality for like production values, and just hitting the fans where they want to hit. Because that was what half of the trailer was. It was like, look at all this stuff you can destroy. You can destroy bridges and people, and you can latch soldiers onto like exploding canisters. You can surf on a missile. Done. Like, I saw that, like, missile surfing thing, and it's like, yeah, I'm pre-ordering this game, aren't I?
I can feel the money out of my wallet flying away.
I can literally feel my back pocket is pulling me towards the door, and I'm like, no, wait, I need to watch the rest of this trailer.
And then we will walk towards the door.
All right, Jalen, thoughts?
These guys have explained it best. Just Cause 3 is a game near and dear to Destructionist hearts, you know?
Yes, it brings out the inner maniac in us all.
Basically, here's the best way to describe Just Cause to anyone. If you like destruction and you like causing massive amounts of mayhem, you're gonna like this game.
Pretty much. And with that, we'll move on to Infinite Sadness, or a new Nier game.
Yeah. They didn't give us a title, but they said it's currently in development, and Platinum is co-developing with Yoko Taro still at the head. I'm amazed he has a job after Drakengard 3. But
Whoa, was that game a piece of shit?
Oh my god! So
Yeah,
let me put it this way. We did a playthrough of it, and near the end, I
must have missed that one.
I was begging for Jalen to turn off the console and just like no, stop! I don't want to do this anymore. I signed up for a fun experience, and this is not what I signed up for.
And that's just the first playthrough. You have to play through the game multiple times. We didn't get to the boss that we have to know 4/4 music theory.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the final boss of the game is a rhythm boss, and the game messes with you. You can't. The game moves the camera around during the boss fight, so you can't actually see the waves coming at you. And if it's a one hit thing and you die, and you do the whole thing over from the beginning. So
Wow.
you have to count the beats on the notes to get it right. And the very last note is done after the screen goes black and dialogue starts.
Wow.
Yeah. To say the game.
And I thought the last battle in Beyond Good and Evil where the controls are backwards was a bitch.
Yeah. So to say the game's a little weird and out there is a big understatement, and
That's usually a plus for me.
I gave up on life after that shortly for a short time.
But
Where's the nearest copy?
The depths of hell where it belongs.
I'm sorry, now that you mentioned this, like, I must see this.
yeah,
So-
it's crazy.
Okay, let me put it this way: you're playing a whore named Zero who wants to kill her whore sisters because they're whores. There you go.
And that's just the
Horse
surface.
killing whores. This sounds interesting. I must play this. Sorry, the more you talk about this, is like, I must see this mess.
All right. Well,
I know my parents always said not to horseplay because it's dangerous. Goddamn. Taking it to all new levels.
Yep.
all right. So
This is kind of like I almost kind of feel like this is like me channeling Lenny for a second. It's like whenever he hears like a really shitty movie, it's like, I must see this. Except this is a game for me.
I do it with games too. You guys ever played Alone in the Dark Inferno?
yes, I have. It's terrible.
Glorious.
I wouldn't even do that game for the bad game series we have.
And you want
why
something?
God? Why God? Why?
Yes, I wouldn't do that for Why God Why.
You want to know something though?
What?
Inferno's supposed to be the fixed version.
I know.
Like they had a second attempt to fix it, and that's what we got. I've never played the original bad version.
Did you fall through the street?
Who doesn't fall through the streets?
Hey, no, we have to play this for Why Got Why.
No, we don't. I would rather play an unfinished Bubsy game than
Did you
play
guys already
that.
do that?
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
we did.
I'd rather play the other unfinished Bubsy game mashed with a modern day Sonic game, mashed in the 3DS port that came
Wait,
out
which
of.
modern Sonic game are we talking here? Sonic Boom,
Boom.
or Sonic 06?
Boom, we're talking boom.
Okay, look. I recommend that you play Inferno, Alone in the Dark Inferno, purely because some of the cutscenes are gold.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Anyways, we're getting off topic.
I'd rather play
true.
Ride to Hell.
I would.
Oh God.
Anyway, small comment. I was severely confused when the guy directing like the Nier game came out with that weird mask helmet thing, and then nobody commented on it.
It's
at
because he
all.
always does that. He does not show his face.
Like I didn't understand that. Like I saw that come out, and I'm like, what's that? Like, and I was really because I'd just woken up when I started watching this, so I was like, okay, what the fuck? I need to wake up now because I'm seeing shit.
Yeah, Lenny.
Did I drop acid?
Lenny, if you look up Yoko Taro interviews for Drakengard 3, he doesn't show his face there either. He's a sock puppet. He has a sock puppet and he's talking about the game.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
He's that kind of guy.
This
So-
guy- I must find out more about this man.
So he's a very quirky guy, and like Drakengard's 1 and 2 are actually really good, sad stories that border on the line of very weird. But
Yeah.
and then 3 came along, and I was like, "Wow, this isn't anything like the other two."
Mhm. And he made Near in between 2 and 3, which is based off of the last ending of 1, which was a joke ending, and in Near that joke ending caused the end of the world. So
Yeah.
he's that kind of guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
So he made an entire game based entirely off of a joke from his other game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
All right, you want me to tell you how like fucking depressing Drakengard series is?
I've seen a few clips of it, but do go on.
Okay,
I'm gonna plug my ears because I don't want to know shit.
all right. It's basically the overall theme. No real spoilers given. Okay, one of the games. I'm not even gonna tell you which game it is. One of the games, your whole thing is to kill a dragon, to kill dragons, and then if you find out that when you kill the dragons, their bodies rotting actually cause a plague that actually ends up destroying humanity.
Oh Jesus,
Yeah.
that's not fun.
Yeah.
And like you wouldn't find out from the beginning. You would find out on your third playthrough of the game.
Yeah,
Oh,
and you're just like, oh my god, I destroyed humanity on accident. All right,
Whoops.
so yeah, so moving on from that, I'm very interested in this next thing, and by that I mean I'm very interested to find out what the hell this is.
Okay.
Lara Croft Go.
It's a mobile game.
I figured as such. Please enlighten me.
It's a cell shaded mobile game where it's using the classic Lara Croft design too. So that's to
Dear
tell
God.
you something.
Oh dear God.
And like she's going through.
I actually
areas
like the
and
classic
stuff.
Lara Croft design.
It's fine. I like the blue. It's very nice. But they didn't show much. They showed like this giant monster thing, and that's about it.
Didn't they say it was turn based?
I think they did say that, yeah. But they didn't show any like actual like battle.
Well then. Any comments on that, Perry?
I like Tomb Raider, but I don't know, like a turn-based Tomb Raider, that kind of has me a little bit puzzled, but not in a way that makes me want to go, I want to try this. I need to find out more about how this thing works before I even consider playing it. So, I don't know. It's one where it's an interesting oddity, but not one that I'm going to put on my radar anytime soon.
What about you, Lenny?
Turn-based platforming. Excitement. I don't know if it actually is going to be turn-based platforming, but just whenever I think of Tomb Raider, I always think platforming, not fighting or battles. And so I'm wondering if that's actually going to be a thing. Like, if you're literally just going to be doing platforming segments, like, turn by turn instead of in real time. And I was thinking, that kind of takes a lot of the excitement out when it just waits for you to kind of decide what you want to do next. Like, oh no, I'm falling off a cliff. If only I, should move. They set the game down for 8 hours to come back, and it's like, oh boy, I really should still move from this falling cliff that's standing still for 8 hours. I mean, that's all speculation. And the graphics looked nice. So until I see more about what it actually is, I've got nothing.
All right. So, any more comments before we move on?
Uh-oh.
Nah.
Not really.
All right. So we got Dragon Quest Heroes: The World. Is this whole thing like one title? The World's
Yes, one
Trees Was,
title.
and Bright Below. Okay. So Dragon Quest
Also being
Heroes.
original title though.
Yeah. What the hell? All right. What is it?
It's the Dragon Quest Muso game, pretty much. It's the Dynasty Warriors Dragon Quest thing.
Oh, is that just a localized name?
Yeah, it's just the localized name.
Interesting.
But they showed it off.
Okay. You said it was different from other Muso games. How so?
It's a lot more like the Dragon Quest. Like, it takes from mechanics from Dragon Quest. So like, they have like an MP bar and an HP bar. They have levels. They have stats, and they have a hub world where you can buy weapons and armor and stuff, and they're like traditional weapons and armor from the Dragon Quest games. The characters and the people you gain that are playable, you can bring three of them with you, including yourself. It's 4. You can switch between them instantaneously.
No, interesting.
And of course, it comes with the Dragon Quest style and the monsters as well, and those are really popular in Japan. Dragon Quest is one of those series that's like like Fire Emblem Shin Megami Tensei, that's OG, but it's underrated everywhere else but its home country. Like it's popular enough in Japan to the point where like every game is released on Sunday because that's the day that majority of Japanese people have off, so they have time to play it.
Okay. So, I just have one question. Is the Meowgician in it?
I'm not sure.
Because I remember when we were talking about this game, Dragon Quest, and you went like, and I went like, what kind of enemies are in it? And you were like, there's an enemy called the Meowgician. I was like, I gotta see this shit.
Yeah, but like it has kooky enemies like the slime and like the golems and like the robot androids and stuff like that.
And the Meowgician.
And the Meowgician. And it's you can tell like some of the enemies are really quirky, and like you can tell that's where like Earthbound got some of their like enemy ideas from.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm very happy that this game is coming over here because we don't get a lot of Dragon Quest stuff.
Yeah, and for a game that has the art made by Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball, You know, it's very like underrated here, but from what I've seen, like they look like really good games.
Yeah, they do.
All right, Lenny, any thoughts?
Upon hearing the word Meowgician, I want to play this.
It's a cat magician, man. It's so cute.
Yeah.
I've seen little bits and pieces of stuff from the previous Dragon Quest things, but I don't think I've ever actually touched one personally. Not due to lack of trying or lack of interest, just haven't got around to it. And hey, if it's like Dynasty Warriors, I'm good for it. I mean, I'm playing Dynasty Warriors 8 like these days. I really liked Hyrule Warriors, and well, if it's in the similar vein to that, then yeah, I'll go for it. You know, I'll get to, you know, send entire swarms of slimes after people. That'd be fun.
All right, Perry, any thoughts?
Never played Dragon Quest. I'll admit that right now. I have been curious as of late to actually try some of the series, like try some of the advanced ports or something like that. I think as Dragon Quest 8 I know is coming to the 3DS pretty soon, but I've seen screenshots of it and I was like, this doesn't look that good for a 3DS re-release. So I'm thinking of probably just going for the PS2 version if I could. If I can find it. And it's honestly not that hard for me to find. I mean, considering some other games that are rare than that. But some of the other games like 5 through 7 maybe, I'll probably get the DS versions for those.
Yeah.
So I have been curious to try Dragon Quest, but it's not one that I'm like, okay, this is like, okay, let me put it this way. There are certain genres I have prioritized more than others in terms of what I'm curious to try new things in them. Dragon Quest is probably maybe, I don't know, second or third in terms of JRPG series I want to try, mostly just out of curiosity. So, and to be fair, I'm not, like I said earlier, I'm not that huge of a Dynasty Warriors fan. But if it manages to be enough of Dragon Quest and a little bit, if it tries to be a little bit more Dragon Quest than Dynasty Warriors, then I might be a little bit more curious. But I will give it props for the title, and I do like Akira Toriyama's art style. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about this one, but I'm willing to give it a chance if I see a little bit more of it.
Yeah, and you could probably wait it out because there's already a sequel announced for it in Japan. And the way Tech McCoy works, we usually get all of their Dynasty Warrior style games.
Okay.
Alright.
I'll say this, they sure work fast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do. Like we get Pirate Warriors sequels usually yearly. I think like 3 is the one we have to wait the longest for.
Yeah, like they announced 2 right a few months later after 1 came out.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right. Well, any more? Everybody good on Dragon Quest?
Yep.
All right. So let's move on to Kingdom Hearts Unchained. Jalen, what the hell?
It's a game that's already in Japan, I think.
Apparently pretty popular in Japan.
Yeah, it's pretty popular in Japan. It's supposed to tie into the story in 3 as well, and basically, it's about these like 5 or so Keyblade wielders, and like there's a traitor among them. It's got like a storyboard, like picture bookish look to it.
Interesting.
It does look kind of cute though.
Yeah, it does. And the gameplay is like you run into an enemy. It looked to me like it was turn-based. And like you can summon like Kingdom Hearts characters, like you can summon Sora and like do his abilities. You can summon like Cloud and do his abilities, like Donald Duck, Goofy, things of that nature.
Interesting. All right, Perry, thoughts?
Don't really have much interest in this one, to be perfectly honest. I feel like this kind of reminds me of you might, Jalen, you said this was going to tie into the story for 3.
Yes.
I don't know, I'm not so certain about this one being so like worth looking into or so pinnacle to or so essential to the story of 3 that I could probably potentially skip over this one. And I haven't beaten any of the other Kingdom Hearts games, right? I'll just admit that right now. I do want to try them. I kind of want to try them in chronological order, but at the same time, I was like, well, I might as well trade the first one first, and then just go to, and then whatnot, and then do Birth by Sleep last. But I'm still conflicted about that. So, Unchained is not really on my list. I don't have anything against it. It looks colorful. It looks cute. But it's not one that I feel like, of all the things I could play and spend my time messing around with, Unchained is really, really not on my radar at all.
All right, Lenny,
What-
thoughts?
Question: what kind of game is it, like gameplay wise, and what platforms is it going to be on?
It's gonna be on it's mobile, I think.
Oh, so it's an instant note for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
it-
what's the gameplay like?
It looked to me like it was a turn-based RPG.
I might have to look into it a little more before I fully dedicate any ideas to it. But I'll say, because I'm kind of a story nut when it comes to these sort of games, I probably will try it out depending on how much it costs. And if it's a good, fun RPG, then more power to it. And I'll definitely try it out if it looks intriguing to me. Mind you, that's one part of the Square Enix conference that I actually missed. I had to be on the phone for a little bit, and I neglected to pause it. So
All right. So, any more thoughts before we move on?
I think that's it.
yeah.
All right. So let's move on to Final Fantasy 14 Heavensward, which sounds like an expansion.
It is.
It is.
Oh boy, what'd they add?
A new,
No
new
idea.
area, I think.
A new area.
Some sort of bladed weapon from Paradise in the Sky.
All right. Do you guys want to go into this, or you just want to move on? Because I think we summed it up pretty well.
Yeah, and let's move on.
From what I've heard from some of my friends who actually play the game, they say that it's going to be amazing.
Oh, all right.
Well, for them, like as in considering what okay, they said the game in and of itself is amazing because of the fact that the original 14 just was abysmal, completely barely functional. In fact, saying it's functional is an insult to other functional games. But point is, it was really well done once they finally redid it. And apparently this one's going to add a lot of stuff, or add a lot more options in regards to world and combat and other stuff. And they're really excited for it.
I've heard I've heard that Realm Reborn was actually pretty well made.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, Realm Reborn is basically extremely impressive because of the fact that it started off as, like, just absolutely awful.
Right.
In addition to being good in general.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to something I think we're all looking forward to: Kingdom Hearts 3. We actually got a gameplay trailer.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
What did they show off? Like,
Basically they showed off gameplay of Sora in what looked to be like the Tangled world, because I know they talked about that a lot. And he fought a bunch of Heartless. He did a good bit of magical attacks. He did some summons, which seemed to be based off Disney rides, like they said they were. They did the teacups. They showed a boss battle with the Rock Titan, and he did the boat and the dope ass Disney train.
all right.
Old ass Disney train.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That needs to be the sign above that ride.
Dope ass Disney train.
All right.
They were probably on dope when they thought of that idea.
All right. Barry, thoughts?
Like I said earlier, I've never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games. I am excited to try this one out, but I need to play the rest of them first in anticipation for this. I will admit, it looks pretty as shit.
yeah. And they did a good job on the graphics.
Yeah, and I will admit the Keyblades in this one, I've always had kind of like poked fun at the Keyblades. It's like I've never understood how that works as a weapon, but that's beside the point. It does look very pretty. I'm very curious. I'm glad that it's finally being made for fans who've been like waiting for fucking ever for this one.
What was it, 2005?
2000.
Yeah, pretty much. So the fact that it's finally getting done, I was like, okay, I'm totally cool with this. I want to try the rest of the series, but I have a lot of other series to get through before I get to KH. And I feel like I've got at least a little bit of time.
Oh, you do. Trust me. This isn't coming out anytime soon,
So
honestly.
you got another
I
2
would
to 3
suspect
years.
maybe within 2.5, maybe 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Lenny, thoughts?
I really think it looks good and pretty, and I want to play it because I played Kingdom Hearts 1, 2. I'm currently on Re-Chain of Memories,
Okay.
and so I'm not entirely caught up on it, but I do know that those two games are like intrinsically bound to my ideas of like epic fantasy type stuff from my childhood. And so seeing it brought back, like, with new stuff and everything else is just going to be a complete joyride, especially if it is as good as the footage that we saw is leading us to believe. So I'm hyped, really.
Yeah, me too. Like,
That's really all I can say. I mean, I'll have to see more details about the actual story and a tiny bit more about combat before I can really say anything in regards to criticisms or, compliments. So I'm just filled with hype until that point.
yeah, I'm pretty hyped for it too, considering Kingdom Hearts 2, like, back in middle school, that was, like, one of the games I played, like, all the damn time. Like, I remember quite a few lunches with me and Jalen and friends talking about Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, to say it was the shit is, like, really underselling it. Yeah, so I'm actually excited. I actually still need to check out the gameplay trailer, which I haven't had really time for, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be impressed with everything I see. All right, any more thoughts?
Nope.
No?
All right, so moving on to Triad Wars. To that I say, go on, and what is it?
I missed this one.
Anybody catch that?
Nope.
Lenny?
I really should know because I'm pretty sure I saw it.
I saw maybe like a good couple of seconds of it, but it kind of reminded me of Sleeping Dogs a little bit.
So it's that kind of game, basically.
It looks like that kind of game. I don't know if that is that kind of game, but it kind of reminded me of Sleeping Dogs.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
let me just make this as a case in point. If we were all watching this and we have no idea what it is, that means that that's an indication that it was not of high enough quality to get us interested or, nothing good enough to make us distinctly remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Yeah,
if we
maybe.
have it clearly written down in front of us.
Right.
Because even games that we have no interest in, aside from other ones, we can at least remember seeing, and yet for some reason this one completely escaped our minds.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Meant in lack of interest right there.
move on.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So now we go to Bros on the Greatest Car Trip Ever, otherwise known as Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
Okay, so Perry, thoughts?
Like, what did they actually show off that was
Nothing
different from what we've
new.
seen before?
No.
More
Nothing really
more
new.
road trip?
Yeah, just pretty much more road trip.
And I am totally cool with that.
Yeah, this has to be like the biggest bro game they've ever released.
Probably.
is.
And I don't care. And I'm sorry, but my hype for 15 and / versus 13 has been ongoing for so goddamn long that
Harry, that reminds me, did you try out Duske 2.0 yet?
not yet. I've been busy.
Okay.
I will play it. I'm going to play it because
All
there's
right.
no way. There's no one that's going to stop me from playing it. But 15, good God, I want this game so freaking bad that I can't even describe it. Oh, sorry. I know a lot of people like the joke. It's like, oh, it's a sausage fest. It's a dude bromance. So yes, I get it. The jokes are really easy to make, and I have seen a lot of memes and a lot of like Photoshop images of the guys in the car staring at something. And I will admit, a good portion of them are hilarious. But even all the jokes aside, I don't give a shit. My hype has not waned at all in the last, what is it now? Almost 9 years. Almost 10 years since the game was first announced. So every trailer I've seen for it, I have watched at least 50 times each.
Yeah.
So my hype for 15 is like at a fever pitch. At the same time, it was the one that got me interested in the series to begin with. So I'm really curious to see how this whole thing unfolds. I did see, however, an article that made me slightly disappointed that apparently the original female lead, Stella, has been removed from the game and replaced with a new character, Luna, which I've heard, according to Ibasa-san, that the director of the game now, he apparently said that they couldn't figure out a way to work with the script that they had going for now for 15 and try to keep her in it, make it make sense. So they had to remove her for the sake of the story, which I will admit it makes me a little bit sad. But at the same time, I understand their reasoning for it, so I don't condemn them for it.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm really curious to see how the world of 15 looks. I love the aesthetic. I like the overall mythos of it. I think it has potentially for a cool bunch of interesting characters, and yes, they do look a bunch of like it looks just like a boy band. I'm not gonna lie, it does. But then again, just because they look like that doesn't mean they can't be interesting characters. So, and I will admit, it makes me at least remember each one of them distinctly and figure out who each of them are, what their personality is like. So, I am pretty hyped for 15. I'm going to play the improved version of Duske. But yeah, I'm actually very pleased with the fact that Square is taking so much effort to make sure that this works. And I don't know what else to say. I'm just really hyped for 15.
All right, Lenny, thoughts?
Mostly the same. Not necessarily a thing on my own thoughts on it, but something of note that I think is interesting is they said that character is no longer going to be in the game, and yet in Duske 2.0, so as in after the update, and then also in the sizzle reel for the Square Enix show, Stella is still there.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the blonde.
Hold on. Does it? What does the woman look like? Is she wearing a white dress?
She's the blonde lady in a white dress.
Okay, is she sitting down?
Yes.
That's Luna.
What?
That's Luna. That's not Stella. That's Luna.
Okay, then who's Stella?
Stella was in the original trailers for Versus 13, back when it was still called Versus 13. You can actually see her, I think, a couple of times. There's one in one trailer. I think it was like at the TGS 2010 trailer. Yes, I actually remember the date. It was one where it was at a dinner party, and it was, I think, the first time that they met. She was like she does look very similar to Luna, but she always had her hair down, where Luna has her hair up in like a bun or something like that. They met at a dinner party, and they started talking about, because apparently Stella and Noctis had similar powers, and they both came from the same source. That's how they first met, except they kind of go about their powers and think about them in two different ways. So, which made me kind of think of the whole Star-Crossed Lovers, Romeo and Juliet kind of thing, but a darker version of that, which sounds awesome. But I also she also shows another trailer where I think it was a little bit earlier than that. I think maybe around 2008 or 9 that shows Noctis and Stella back when Noctis had his original outfit, where both of them are facing each other and they both have their weapons drawn and they look like they're about to fight each other. So that to me is like, okay, so now these two know who they are and they have to fight. So that's kind of like, sorry, go ahead.
Has Stella appeared in any of the 15 trailers?
No. Stella has not appeared in any single one of them. The one, at first I thought the girl that they showed was Stella. But then I looked at it again, I was like, that doesn't quite look like her. It looks a little bit different. But then again, that might mostly be due to the hair. So it's still a blonde woman in a white dress, from what we've seen. So the confusion is perfectly valid.
So now it's just a slightly different one.
I'm gonna suspect this is basically a slightly different written character, but a similar model. That's what I'm guessing. So it's real. I can understand perfectly the confusion. But as someone like
it was probably due to me just not memorizing the name of that character, but
it's perfectly fine. They never really said her name that much at all. You would have to go on like the Final Fantasy wikis or something like that and analyze the crap out of every single trailer just to get who that is and what her possible relevance in the plot might be. So the fact that we didn't know that much of the Versus 13's plot to begin with, and they're trying to redo it for 15. I can understand people being a little bit confused and saying, hey, is that Stella? No, that's a different character named Luna. So, and the fact that both their names are Latin and kind of mean similar things at night. So, okay, fair enough.
Either way, that was all I kind of had to say in regards to different stuff. I've got a lot of good hype. Episode Duske 2.0 has increased my hope for the game notably, just because some of my friends who are more savvy in terms of game mechanics have basically told me that the first iteration of Duske was kind of, well, they basically said mechanically that it was kind of bad, you know, and that they said the fighting seemed really sloppy, the frame rate seemed kind of bad, and that a lot of the mechanics seemed really either too forgiving or obtusively hard and unresponsive.
Okay.
All right, Jalen.
They played 2.0, and then they said it's a lot better. The only thing wrong in regards to what they think is the frame rate, but they're kind of a stickler for it, and that they're basically saying like 60 or go home. So
And I think they said it was going to be at 60 in the final build, correct?
I have no idea. I might have to look into that.
I've heard somewhere it was going to be in 60 in the final build.
I think I've heard that too.
Yeah. Either way, that was the only thing that they said as a gripe for the second one. And considering that I already liked the first one and that I'm very much liking the second one now, like I'm still playing Duske 2.0 at this point just because of like some of the improvements that the battle system has made. So, and
Yeah, everything you told me about the Duske 2.0 demo, it sounds like a considerable improvement.
All right. Well, Jalen, your thoughts about this?
I'm excited to see it. I want to go across the countryside with my boys. You know,
In the most perfect road trip ever, right?
in the most beautiful car I could ever drive it in.
That probably none of us could ever afford.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The sad truth is coming on the tail end of this discussion. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to Star Ocean 5. Star Ocean is a series I know about, but I've never personally played. I know Jalen's played a couple of them.
Yeah.
How are they?
You know the Tales series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the guys who made the first Tales game quit after they ported the first Tales game to the PlayStation and went on to make Star Ocean.
Ooh.
And basically, it's kind of not been as popular as Tales, but it's still popular. And this one seems they're wanting to go back to JRPG's old days. So I'm assuming they want it to be more open-ended in terms of where you can go and stuff like that. Because JRPGs nowadays seem to be very linear. And I remember,
13.
yeah, exactly. And I remember a time where you actually could go places, or you had decisions on where you could go and what you could do, and it wasn't all like one straight line.
Kind of like Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, and they've also increased the party size as well. So it looks, from what I saw, it was like maybe 6, 7 people in a party instead of like 4.
Interesting.
And it still uses real-time battle system like Tales as well. And so they showed off a bit of that, and they had like 6, 7 people plus like the monsters you ran into battling. So I'm interested to see how they're gonna do that without making it too crowded. They also noted that they were going for a seamless thing. So instead of like going around town and then you enter a cutscene, they're going to do things where like the cutscene doesn't actually, you can't tell it's a cutscene.
So they're going for like in-game stuff?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like that seamless cutscene stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. All right. What did you think about the actual like showing itself?
I thought it was pretty interesting. It looked, it seems like an improvement from 4. While I liked 4, I thought it was a bit stiff. And this one seems a bit more fluid in terms of what you can do in battle, just from the little they showed me. Or us, I should say. And I'm looking forward to it.
All right, well, that's good. Lenny, your thoughts?
Well, water can't exist in space. My suspension of disbelief is lost. 0 out of 10.
Too much water in space.
That's right. Now then, more realistic comments. That is probably one of the greatest subtitles I've heard in a long time, purely because of how original it is. Just integrity and faithlessness. I don't know. I just find that very appealing. But
That almost sounds like a title you hear in a Castlevania game.
yeah.
Yeah.
That aside, though, I I liked what I had to see, and I might actually check it out now that you're telling me it's like part of the Tales series, because I actually, you know, checked out one of them. I think it was like Tales of Symphonia. I might be wrong. It was like one of the Tales games I checked out a little bit ago with some pals. So hopefully I can get into it, since it looked really cool. Who knows? I'll dig it. Dig that title. Dig that realism of water and space. I'm good.
Wait, did you say that you said it was part of the Tales series,
No,
Jalen?
no,
I thought you
no,
said
no.
it was made by the people who made the Tales series.
It was made by the people who made it.
Yeah. So
Sorry, Lenny. I thought you said that it was
No,
part of the Tales.
sorry. I meant I should have maybe said akin to a Tales game instead of actually being one.
Okay, sorry. The wording kind of threw me off a little bit.
all right. So Perry.
Like I said, I'm not an authority on it, so don't trust a word I say unless it's like a game series I've played all the way through.
Right. All right. So Perry, what do you think about it?
Never played Star Ocean. Like you said, I'm aware of its existence. I have wanted to try it, but I haven't. I haven't been able to procure a good copy of any of the games so far. I think I found a copy of it at GameStop of Last Hope International on the PS3.
Yeah.
So, Jalen, is that a pretty decent version to get?
Yeah, that's a pretty decent version to get. I mean, your only other option is getting the Xbox version.
No thanks. I'll get the PS3 version.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go for that one. I think I did see a copy of Star Ocean 2 on PS1.
Yeah.
On at a moving trading company not too far from my place. So I don't know much about the Star Ocean series.
That's the most
general.
popular one.
That's the most popular one.
Too.
Okay, so would you say I should try that one?
Yeah, if you can get your hands on it.
Okay, I think it was like 60 when I saw it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
All right, so I do want to try it, and I do agree with Lenny that it is probably one of the most original subtitles I've seen in a while. So yeah, I do want to try out Star Ocean. I think from what I've heard, this is actually supposed to be the earliest point in the timeline.
I thought it was supposed to be later.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
oh
it's
wait,
supposed to
no,
be-
I think no, it's 4 that's the earliest in the timeline,
Four
right?
is the earliest, and then 5 is after 3,
Which is the latest, I'm guessing.
which is the latest, right?
Okay, so in the case this is moving the story forward.
Yes.
Good. Okay, I can deal with that. So, but is it crucial that I play the other ones first before playing this one?
I think you'll be fine. Unless they're gonna make some big callbacks to 3 or maybe 2, you shouldn't worry too much.
Okay. But that's about my thoughts on Star Ocean. I do want to try it, but I don't know that much about it.
All right. Well, let's move on to probably a series you know more about. Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. We got to see some gameplay of it. What do you think, Perry?
Well, this is Cyberpunk, so this is my bread and butter, and I am happy as a motherfucker. So, I did like the gameplay trailer that we saw. I will admit, they said this was a new engine, right?
Yes.
It looks pretty good. I'll say that. Like it looks really close to what Human Revolution was, but at the same time, it looks different enough to say like, oh, this is a new engine. So it's kind of like a happy medium of both.
Right.
Where it looks similar to Human Revolution, because I'm not gonna lie, Human Revolution had one of the coolest aesthetics I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
So, and with this being a continuation of that, I was like, okay, I really am digging this world of Deus Ex. I've never played the original one, although I heard it was hard as hell.
Oh yeah, it is.
So
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see where the story of Jensen or Anna Jensen goes from here. So I'm very curious to see what happens. And I will admit the trailer song just sounded really intense, and I love it.
Yeah, it does. Even Human Revolution had a really good titles theme. I think it was called Icarus. It was actually really good. Also, I have a question. Also, potential spoiler alert. Didn't Adam Jensen die in Human Revolution?
No,
No?
he didn't.
Oh, okay.
I think there was, if I remember correctly, there was a similar scenario to Mass Effect 3 near the end, but I can't quite remember off the top of my head.
All right.
All I remember is it felt similar to Mass Effect 3.
Interesting. All right. Well, Lenny, thoughts?
Okay, first off, minor thing. Harry, considering that you said that you really liked the look of the series, I highly recommend you watch The Fountain, because if I am correct, The Fountain was a heavy inspiration as to the aesthetic of Human Revolution.
Ooh. Wait a minute, isn't that... Damn,
Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that was Aronofsky. Sorry, I was coughing. Sorry.
Yeah, so check that out first, or whenever. So that's first. Second thing, arm blades. Love them.
I want those arms.
Yeah,
Cool
the-
stuff,
like,
man.
Or at least one of those.
So I
For
dug
obvious
that.
reasons.
Outside of that, it looked like a slightly more fluid and polished, like, recreation of the gameplay that we had already seen in Human Revolution, and well, that was really good gameplay in there. So, no complaints there. Just awesome. It looks nice. It looks smooth, and I heard in an interview that they basically said, like, they didn't say exactly this, but this is what I got from it. We will not fuck up the bosses this time. So
Good.
I'm happy about that.
Because I will fully admit, I like Human Revolution, but the boss fights, not so much.
Yeah. Admittedly, they did fix it in the director's cut of Human Revolution, but
This is
still,
true.
The damage was done by that point. So either way, I'm very eager to see where it goes, because I still haven't actually beaten Human Revolution, and so I really want to see how it goes, because it's deep and intricate and it's cool, and it just looks smarter than your average game, boo boo. And sorry, but it's something that I want to see continue. I want to see it succeed because I liked it. I think other people like it, and not to name any specific game series, but there's a lot of very, very popular game series out there, which some people consider to be just kind of, mind-numbing, lowbrow stuff, and I'd rather keep to this intelligence stuff. Not that lowbrow stuff doesn't have its place, because I can always enjoy some mind-numbing action every once in a while, but having stuff with some thought behind it is important for the sake of
Basically,
variety.
there's a place in the world for our Just Cause 3s, and then there's their Deus Exes.
Yeah, because it's like, if I said, like, oh, not intellectual realism, how gauche, it's like, no, fuck you, I want to blow shit up. And alternatively, blowing shit up all the time can get tedious, so I'd like to contemplate the universe, ho ho ho. So, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good that we have this game, and it's important that we have these kind of games, because otherwise, well, I mean, like I said I wouldn't name names, but whoops, here I go. It would just be a bunch of Call of Duty stuff. Just endless multiplayer-only games that just cater to that kind of crowd. And I'm not a particular fan of it.
Yeah.
So, huzzah for arm blades and retractable sunglasses.
Want those two.
Yeah.
All right, Jalen, thoughts?
I'm really excited for it. I like Cyberpunk just as much as Perry does, and I've never really delved much into the Deus Ex series, even though I should have. And so I'm really gonna make the charge with this one.
Let me know what you think about it when you do.
Oh, don't worry, I will.
All right. I played Human Revolution a little bit. I got to the part where that Hispanic sounding guy was holding that person hostage.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and I like the route they went with that, but because they were like, I could fill you full of holes right now or stab you with this arm blade, but why don't you tell me how you feel?
Do you want to know why?
I love that sort of stuff.
Do you want to know why I like that part the best? Because I was initially going to be a psychologist, and so that would be the tactic that I would legitimately try to do if I was ever presented with that situation. And I admire the fact that it can kind of help me realize, yeah, I would have died if I did that.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this game, but I feel like I do need to go back and play Human Revolution to completion, and before I actually like form a solid opinion on the follow up. Any more thoughts before we move on?
No, I'm
No.
good.
All right. Last but not least, we got a new IP called Project Setsuna.
Yep.
What is it?
They
New
didn't
game
give too
from
much
the
information.
RPG Factory.
Yeah, a new studio devoted to making RPGs.
Tokyo RPG Factory, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. They show off trailer, gameplay, anything?
Concept art.
Concept art, at least.
It's
Uh,
very early on.
interesting. How'd it look?
It
Yeah.
looked pretty. I'll give
Yeah.
it that.
You know, this is just me. I find it very hard to find any concept art to not be pretty.
Yeah, that's true.
That is a good point.
Most of the time when you look at concept art, it almost always looks at the very least interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's hard to fuck up concept art, really.
True.
And
No,
usually
no
when they
offense to
do
the game.
concept art, they usually pick a very interesting locale or scene or something going on in it to make it look intriguing.
Yeah.
No offense to the game, I'm sure it's going to be a fine game, but it's not hard to make concept art look pretty. So I'm gonna have to wait till I see more solid gameplay before I give it the benefit of a doubt.
Fair enough. I'm pretty much in the same boat.
All right. So, anything else anybody wants to say about that before we move on?
No, I think that's it.
All right.
Good.
All right.
Square
Then.
Enix.
Yep. All right. Time for scores. Lenny, I'll let you go first.
I definitely had more to say about this than I did about Nintendo's, and of the ones that I had to comment on, they're definitely of higher quality of interest in terms of that compared to Nintendo stuff. I mean, I'll say this. If I was to base it purely on the games and the demos and stuff that they had, it probably would rank very high. But in terms of the actual, showcase and conference itself, I'd probably rank it lower because it was very long and the people presenting it were very dry. Like, a lot of people basically said that it was up there in terms of one of the more boring conferences they'd seen because it was just very drawn out and lifeless and So, game-wise and stuff, I'd probably give it an 8. A lot of stuff looks pretty interesting and good. But doing it based on the presenters as well, because I think that is also an important factor, it'd probably be like a 6. Because even though Nintendo didn't have a lot of great games, at least they had their Muppets there to entertain us.
All right. True. All right, Jalen, your score.
I think I'm gonna give it a 5. I liked what they showed us. A lot of the stuff had like announcements, but no actual gameplay. So it's more like, hey, this is coming. We're giving you cookies, but we still got to get the dough.
All right.
Wait.
Ah,
Okay.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. All right. So Perry, your score.
I guess I'm kind of in a different reaction where I didn't mind it being so dry, I guess because I usually have a pretty dry-ish personality. At the same time, I can understand why people would find it boring and a little drawn out, which I do agree with a little bit, that it could have gone a little bit quicker. I think they could have I think they could have given maybe, or taken out some of the mobile stuff like Kingdom Hearts and Lara Croft. I felt like that took up maybe just an unnecessary amount of time. They could have given that maybe in a sizzle reel or in a on the showcase floor or in a separate interview or something like that. But what they did show, I did give more of a crap about the games that were shown in Square's lineup than Nintendo's lineup, admittedly. So altogether, I'm gonna do two grades with this one. I would say letter grade wise, I'd say maybe about a B minus, something like that, in terms of overall presentation mixed with the lineup that they had. And I would say it's about a fun but flawed conference.
All right. So now, anybody?
Which is about average.
Yeah. All right. So anybody up for kind of speeding through the PC the PC conference?
Fine by me.
I'll
Alright.
tell you what. Since I was the only one who sat through the whole thing, I could just
Which
give you guys,
I think you deserve a round of applause, dude.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Lenny.
a brief synopsis of it, and then you guys like give a yay or nay as to whether or not it, intrigues you.
All right, that works.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go through this list, and we get a yay or nay, and I'll just give you. I'll try at least to give a short kind of description of what went on.
All right.
All right. First off, they showed off a new trailer for Killing Floor 2, showing off the Gore engine, and also revealing a new free content pack that is going to be added to the Steam Early Access version.
Yay. I like Killing
Yeah.
Floor. Barry.
Personally, nay.
Okay.
All right.
So, okay, same dev, Tripwire Games revealed a new game, Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, and it looks like it had pretty good graphics. It looked, as far as I could tell, based on the fact that I had two war/gun nuts with me when we were watching it, and they seemed like they were really, really into it. And so it looked like a relatively accurate action game portrayal of Vietnam. Not like
it's like Medal of Honor, but for Vietnam.
Yeah. So, at least from what I can tell, they're a pretty good developer, and some aspects of Rising Storm 2 were like kind of good, but only sort of okay. So they said basically, if they have room for improvement, it's going to be awesome, and the graphics looked relatively good. So that.
Yay.
Yeah. I like Vietnam.
Is meh an option?
Sure.
Meh.
Okay. They showed off some new behind-the-scenes footage of Star Citizen, which is like an upcoming something. I don't know. I think it's like going to be like a gigantic action game, but I don't know what the actual genre is going to be. But from what I've seen, the graphics of it look amazing. It's going to be very story-driven because most of the stuff they showed was a lot of actors in their like green suits with like little dots on them and facial capture stuff. So apparently a very high amount of work is going into this. So I'm thinking it's going to be impressive when it eventually comes out.
Meh.
Yeah, meh.
I will say yay.
All right. So next up, and this is one I find kind of, I don't know, hilarious in that like the head CEO of Xbox, Phil Spencer, is backing up PC gaming, which even though he works for Microsoft, which make PCs, that means he's basically rooting for their competition, and they're bringing Killer Instinct to PC.
Yay.
Previously an Xbox One exclusive, so that's another exclusive of theirs that's gone to PC.
Yep. So, once again, yay.
Guys, Jalen,
Oh, yay.
Barry?
Yay as well. I actually do give a crap about this one because I actually would like to try Killer Instinct on this, but I don't want to get an Xbox One, so this works perfectly for me.
Speaking of which, as in terms of other exclusives they are not holding on to, Gears of War Ultimate is also coming to PC, and in improved versions over the Xbox One edition, it will have unlimited frame rate / refresh rate stuff, 4K support, and DirectX 12 support.
Yay.
Oh, that's a big yay.
I would say yay if I had a 4K display.
Okay, well, I mean, you don't have to buy an Xbox One to buy the shinier edition of Gears of War.
But that, no, I'm saying, like, that would make a bigger yay if I did have a 4K display. But as by itself, yay, I'm okay with that.
Okay. American Truck Simulator.
Nay.
Nay.
Okay.
Nay.
Eve Valkyrie, which is like a space shooting game in the Eve universe, but of note is that it is not connected to Eve Online. Like,
Isn't that the one? Isn't that the one that's in Project Morpheus?
I think it is, yeah. And it's different than the other one because like the last one they released in regards to that was Dust 514, and that one actually was connected to Eve Online, but this one has no connection to it. It's just in the same universe in regards to lore and story, and you just go around shooting shit.
If it's for VR, then I'm in.
Yeah, it's one of the ones that's supported by Morpheus.
All right.
I'll give it a yay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yay.
I think it's also supported by Oculus, but all the cool stuff. So, Ion, which is from the DayZ creator, is basically going to be a Diablo-esque game about space stations.
Meh.
Yeah.
I will
Meh.
say yay. I'm actually
Right.
curious.
There's a game coming out relatively soon called Strafe, which is like Doom if it had a larger amount of procedurally generated elements to it. Not
Yeah.
exactly like it. Basically, their philosophy was create a game similar to Doom slash Quake, but with a more modern graphical style. Well, sorry, more modern graphical ideologies, but with retro visuals, and also more like tech improvements, and then have more procedural generation to add some touches of replayability.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meh.
All right. Pillars of Eternity is getting a new expansion called the White March.
Meh.
I've heard good things about Pillars of Eternity,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of in a meh category. I don't know much about it to actually give it a definitive, like
Yeah, me
saying
too.
yes or no.
All right, so the devs behind Elite Dangerous are making a new game which appears similar to Roller Coaster Tycoon called
Roller toaster.
Planet Coaster.
Awesome. I get to toast planets. Can I also put them with jam?
I'll give it a yay.
It sounded like you said planet toaster.
No.
I'll give it a yay.
Yeah, me too. I like roller coasters.
All right.
I'll give planet toaster a yay. Planet coaster a meh.
All right. Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns expansion, which will have a new area with a new boss. But upon beating this boss, you basically have a hub level area / home for your guild that has, house and building construction elements as well as new PvP areas.
I'll give it a yay.
Meh.
Meh.
All right. Hitman, or as I'd like to call it, Walkway Simulator, which you would know if you guys saw it. Literally, it just showed off the graphics, and the whole thing was showing literally just actresses / models walking down a walkway in the place where the hitman's supposed to do his next assassination, but you don't even get to see the hitman doing his stuff. You literally just watch 10 minutes of chicks going up and down a walkway in slightly different dresses each time, while the guy who is the head director of the game talks about why the game is better, with the main component being that the levels are 6 to 7 times bigger than in previous games.
If I wanted to see chicks walking down a runway, I'd go to a hair salon and watch the TVs.
Point is, they said that it's going to be more of a sandbox approach, and that apparently have a much larger world in which to perform each mission.
I'll give that a yay.
Yeah, I like it, man. It's a yay.
I've never played Hitman, but why not? Yay.
All right, an Arma 3 expansion called Tanoa, which is on an island of the same name, which is basically a big old giant, mostly aquatic, I don't know, we call it coastal / tropical island type deal. And so more areas to play with in Arma 3, mostly focused around either water-based stuff, plane-based
What
stuff.
genre is it?
It's hyper-realistic war simulator. Not a war game, in that apparently it has some of the most realistic stuff in regards to graphics, gameplay, and realistic gun models and stuff. So you don't have unlimited ammo. You can't just reload to keep all your bullets. Apparently everything in regards to gun models and controls and everything else are extremely hyper realistic. But it's complex as fuck and very boring.
Yeah. Also, interesting quote. DayZ came from Armor 2.
Yep.
Interesting.
Anyway, so new expansion for a hyper realistic but commonly quoted as potentially overly complex shooting simulator.
I'll give it a meh.
Yeah.
Nay.
Alright, then there's Beyond Eyes, which is just another trailer from that game where he plays a little blind girl.
Yay.
Oh, okay.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'm still hung up on the fact that you see colors when blind people don't know what colors are, but that's another story. Tacoma, which is a game from the Gone Home dev, where you're in space and you use sign language to open doors.
Meh.
I'll give it a chance. Yay.
I'm giving it a meh.
All right. Soma is the next game from the Amnesia devs, and it looks terrifying. God, you guys really should look up the trailer sometime if you want to check it out, because it's basically a lot of stuff in that. I don't know if you actually do have Amnesia this time, but basically you're wandering around a relatively abandoned facility, and there's a lot of stuff in regards to people's brains and minds and bodies being scrambled or not in the places they should be.
Yay.
You
That
literally
sounds hype.
like you literally see a brain being probed with like electricity on top of it, and another time where you're talking to a robot that is convinced beyond a doubt that it is human, and that because one of its legs is like not functional, that he's actually bleeding out. It's very freaky.
So
That's a yay.
once again, yay.
Bleep no.
Okay. Speaking of the
But this is coming from a guy who doesn't like horror.
Speaking of the previous fact you mentioned before, Adolfo, Daisy gets single player, an offline mode, and mod support.
That gets double finger guns.
Yeah, yay's all around that.
Don't really care much for DayZ, but anytime there's a single player or mod support, I'm okay with, so I'll give it a yay. Just out of being nice.
All right. Cliffy B's new project, Project Blue Streak, gets some pre-alpha video, but nothing in regards to story or gameplay.
Why do I feel like I've heard the name Blue Streak before? I don't know why, but I feel like that's a movie reference.
I'll give it a yay.
It looks pretty, but we have no idea what the game's about at all.
So I'll give it a yay just because I like Cliff.
And I'll give it a meh.
I'm with you on meh.
Yep. Enter the Gungeon gets co-op.
Meh.
Meh.
I love that title though.
Let's see. Heroes of the Storm is getting an expansion called Eternal Conflicts.
Meh.
I've never played MOBAs, but it's a lot of Blizzard characters, so I'll give it a yay.
Yeah, meh.
All right. Here's something you guys may pique your interest, maybe not. StarCraft II: Legacy of the Void is getting a beta starting next month. That features prequel missions that bridge the story between the previous DLC.
And you get to play as Zeratul.
Yep.
I'll give it a yay.
Yeah, I'll give that a yay.
Mother effing yay.
And to cap it all off, No Man's Sky showed off a little bit more footage, and it will be launching on PS4 and PC simultaneously.
I'll give that a space combat.
I'll give that a yay, and then I'll not find the yay.
I will give that a shut up and take my money, and my wallet will be gone forever.
All right. So do you all want to get? Do we all want to give scores, or do we just let Lenny give the score since he's the only one who actually saw it?
I only
fair.
saw maybe like the last 30 minutes of it, so
Yeah, okay, here's the gist. I liked it,
Mm-hmm.
but it was so unorthodox that I feel it turned a lot of people off to the concept because it wasn't presented like a standard show. It was presented like a talk show. And so we had the benefit of this. The benefit was asking questions to the developer actually allowed us to get a lot more information about the games. Like, I'd have to watch it again, but I do know we got a significant amount more of information about No Man's Sky. Not a huge amount, but it just more insight into how he made this stuff and everything else. And we got a lot of other stuff. And there's one announcement that I didn't list because I didn't know if it pertained to you guys. But AMD basically announced what my friends quoted as a revolutionary new graphics card, which has 2 CPUs in it. Which basically means that it's 2 graphics cards crammed into one, and that's never been done before.
Meh. I'll give that a yay.
Yeah, I'll give that a yay. New technology sounds good.
I'll give it a yay because I might be needing that graphics card in the future.
So basically, the gist of it is, it was a big old talk show with all these people, and it was very, very, very cool because you got to see more insight about all these people and their lives and the game and like game development and stuff. But alternatively, it was a lot longer-winded, and it didn't have the kind of impact that you'd have from like a pre-made presentation. Because even though they had it somewhat planned and he had cue cards and whatnot, it wasn't the same as other people saying like, welcome to the so and so where we innovate in everything, and here's a thing. It wasn't like that. It was kind of like where they would show off the new gameplay or new videos for the most part, and then kind of do interviews over them. So it was probably the most informative of all three, but it did not have the bang or the punch or the charisma that the other three did. So if you have the patience and the will to stay awake during it, it was probably the most informative out of all the conferences. But it was also not necessarily the most entertaining because of how unorthodox it was.
So if you had to give it like either a letter or a number?
I'd probably say, to be honest, I'd say like a 7.5-ish. Like, I'd probably do more if there was more games I actually was like interested in. I guess it was a matter of like the games that I did see seemed to be like good amounts of improvements, and it was games that were being launched in the near future instead of just talking about them coming way later. Because it kind of goes back to what Jalen was saying about Square Enix. Square Enix didn't have a ton of gameplay or a ton of stuff regarding what was coming out soon. It was basically, hey, we're working on all of these. As opposed to this one where all of them basically said, hey, this game is coming out in like this time frame, or they said, oh, it's coming out like soon. Like the Heart of Thorns one for Guild Wars 2. As soon as he announced it, they said, oh yeah, when can we pre-order this? And he looked at his watch and he said, 2 minutes ago. Yeah, and so it was stuff like that where the immediacy of it felt good as compared to the far-off futureness that a lot of the other conferences had. So I like that. But overall, like 7.5 out of 10. It was not quite as impressive as Bethesda's, because like the PC gaming show and Bethesda were both first-timers. And Bethesda really knew what they were doing, and even though I liked the unique approach to the PC gaming show, it didn't... Obviously, you guys fell asleep or just couldn't watch it, so... That's, I'd say, a point of contingency as to how entertaining it was, if I was the only one who could stay awake.
Alright, any more thoughts on the PC gaming show before we call it a podcast and just go to bed or resume our lives?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, there's actually one thing I'd like to know. Not about the conference, but about E3 as a whole.
Alright, go ahead.
This was the E3 so far with the most public access. Like, the companies were given more public passes than usual. So E3 was more open to the public. And I think that's a sign in the future for, like, E3 might be more open to just for people to come in.
Alright.
So it might actually become not just a media conference, but it actually become like an actual games conference where people can actually play the stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm willing to go along with that because I would like to attend E3 at some point in my life.
Yeah, I would too. Alright, so here comes the fun part. Now we get to rate this year's E3 overall.
Okay then.
Alright, so Perry, I'll let you go first.
Okay, how are we rating this thing, first of all? Are we rating the whole conference, or are we rating each individual, like are we ranking each of the conferences from best to worst?
We already gave a rank to each conference. So this is
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, this is overall how good the entire event was.
Started off really strong with Bethesda, Microsoft, and Sony. Kind of puttered out a little bit with Nintendo. I wouldn't say it puttered out with Square Enix. It was a strong, decent showing from Square Enix. And PC, I just went. So I would say, I almost want to say just because of the Final Fantasy VII, Last Guardian, and Shenmue 3, I would say it's, I guess in terms of fan levelness, like fanboyisms and just sheer like holy shit moments, I would say it's about a 10 out of 10 in terms of holy shit moments like that. Because none of us, I don't think any one of us suspected that all three of those would show up at once. Mm-hmm. But in terms of judging the overall conference as it is, I would say, given the level of games that we saw, the level of new games, the level of current games that we knew, kind of games that we knew that were going to come, and showcased us and were impressive, I would say roughly about a 9 out of 10, maybe an 8 at worst.
All right.
Is that about right?
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, Jalen.
All right, so I have about the same opinion as Perry when it comes to it. One thing I'll take into account is that there wasn't as many new IPs announced this year, and but
That is true.
But on the same note, this year I feel the most that overall the developers and publishers are starting to listen to the fans more.
Yeah, agree with that sentiment.
So that's always something I really appreciate, and I hope to see more of it. And that's why I'm giving it the same score of a 9.
All right, Life.
Well, video games were announced. And that's what the true spirit of Christmas is all about. No, but in seriousness though, there's a lot of various things that I'm taking into account for all of this, but I'd say it's up there in terms of one of the more satisfying and memorable E3s that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Because just all sorts of things. I'll say this. The disappointing, forgettable, and boring parts of E3 are ones that I think are completely overshadowed by the stuff that I loved about this E3. Like, Bethesda as a whole, HoloLens, and most of Sony's conference in general.
How about just all of Sony's conference?
Yeah, just boom. That stuff there makes me kind of forget like the weird, like I'd say like the less energetic aspects that I found out of Microsoft conference, or the mostly sports of EA, or the not much in terms of like games that I play of Nintendo, or the relatively sleep-inducing stuff from the PC gaming show. All the stuff from HoloLens and Sony and Bethesda made me just remember why E3 gets us so hyped every single year, because we get this giddiness. So I'd say I'd probably give it a 9.5 out of 10. The only thing making it not a 10 out of 10 was that we heard nothing in regards to PT, and that's mainly maybe that's me being, I don't know what you call it,
spoiled.
Optimistic.
I was gonna say stubborn, but optimistic sounds nicer, so I'll go with that.
I'll roll with that too.
If they would have said anything in regards to its state, even if Microsoft picked it up and said they were doing it as an exclusive, as long as it survives in some way, I would have been happy. And maybe that's unfair, but either way, I can't really give it a 10 out of 10 because not everything was perfect. So 9.5 out of 10 from Lenny.
If Sony had picked up Silent Hills and they said that Kojima was allowed to be the director and just make it exclusive to their platform after Shenmue 3 and Final Fantasy 7,
it would have been
like, there's no way they could have lost.
11 out of 1. That's what it would have been.
Okay, I'll make mine short and sweet. I'll give a whole bunch of abridged thoughts. Okay, the games were great. Dreams were made. Memories were created. Birdie is super OP in Street Fighter 5. Fuck him.
Pants were shitting.
Alright. Yes, PC games put me to sleep. I think a good 9 out of 10. So
it seems like we're all in general agreement that this E3 was overall pretty awesome.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely way better than last year's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like this is probably just me overthinking this a lot, but I feel like it's this E3 in particular, now that all the consoles have kind of gotten underway, I think it's at this point that by the time we see next year, we're really going to see the consoles start hitting their stride.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're just like it's like we're on the edge of the cliff, and we're seeing how awesome everything is at the bottom, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, so there's that. Now,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Adolfo.
So there's some food for thought for you guys. maybe next year will be even better. But I think we should really start wrapping up.
Yeah. Question: when are we gonna do our next episode, and when are we what's the subject?
Okay, and next episode we'll decide later on, but look forward to it. I would say in the next month at least. The topics we're gonna go for is gaming, anime, maybe a movie or two if we watch anything interesting that we want to watch. So basically, the podcast is gonna be us talking about our lives as gamers, movie watchers, anime lovers, basically, and let's players.
Basically, just nerding out over whatever we want.
Yeah, basically. So we hope you guys enjoyed this little E3 coverage, and we'll see you guys when the podcast officially begins.
See ya.
So,
All right, you guys.
see you guys later.
Goodbye.